Good evening, everyone. Welcome to America's Third Party. I'm David Sponheim. You can reach us at americasthirdparty.com any day of the week. You can watch our shows in archive. We've got over 4,000 hours of YouTube videos to play at the bottom of our screen. You can multicast us. You can make fun of us on your own channel. The important thing is you get the message of America's Third Party's arrival on the political scene out there. We are going to be talking tonight about conspiracies within our own government, the possibility that our country has engaged in what appears to be false flaggery, lack of evidence. The people perpetrating crimes are actually all dying. Nobody ever can be checked for any information. So in almost every case of a false flag, we see the perpetrator dying. Lack of evidence, lack of video proof of dead bodies, lack of autopsy results, lack of everything. And the American people are angry because they don't like being lied to. I know the people that come in our show who make America great are looking at our leadership as if they're buffoons. 75% of our population doesn't even trust Hillary or Donald. Yet we're being forced to look at two parties as our only options. And then they've got these airhead shills like Gary Johnson running as if he's a third-party guy, and he won't even toe the line for issues like 9/11 as an inside job, which we talk about tomorrow night, issues like chemtrails and the existence of these chemicals being dumped on our heads. He won't even talk about GMOs, and neither will Hillary or Donald. The dangers of GMOs are very clear and documented now, and our government seems to be siding with big industries like Monsanto and Dow. And the American people are going, I don't want to eat this crap. We were never asked, do you want to eat GMOs that take on glyphosate and Roundup and all kinds of dangerous herbicides that can kill off our population? We were never consulted as to whether we wanted to inherit this beautiful planet. The elitists have already put the wheel in motion to depopulate. And they've got all these scumbags controlling our government through the very back channels of American politics, through moneyed interests. And our biggest choice right now is to get away from the two-party system, which is clearly on the take. Now, I'm not a materialistic person. Thank you. We've got a simulcast in India, courtesy of Mighty Quinn. Mighty Quinn. Thank you, Mighty Quinn, for multicasting us. Excellent. A lot of people around the world are watching our show, even though they've attempted locally on our Vaughn network to shut us down, limit our chatters. Many of you reach this VIP capacity screen when you want to come into our chat show. Hang in there. We'll have more chat options for you in the near weeks. We're hoping another network opens up that won't be censoring us. But we've got a real battle to stop the big corporate control of our government and ultimately prevent a global new world order from taking place. The very leaders that have been working behind the scenes to control us have a plan, and that plan is to essentially depopulate. People like Ted Turner have openly said they want to get rid of 95% of the world's population. Watch this.
We've got to stabilize the population. When I was born,
so what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff. But if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff. We're altering the climate and the world in so many different ways. And what we're doing is reducing the Earth's carrying capacity so that each year the natural world gets poorer and less able to support the increasing number of people. We have a finite world, but an infinite ability to increase our population.
All right, let's stop this right there. I did the math on this, and I found out that we have an amazing amount of property available around the world. If you look at all the arable land around the world, I mean, without boundaries, every single person in the world would have 15 acres. That's how much land there is. We just need a critical component, and that is pure water. Without pure water, we can't make arable land work for anybody. So instead of depopulating, which would make us the only species on Earth that doesn't support replicating, which is strange in and of itself, we simply need much more fresh water. And that's clearly at the base of our idea, and always was our idea. Hang on just a second. Not sure why that isn't scrolling. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay. You want 15 acres and a mule? Yeah. My great-great-great-grandfather came out here from Norway originally in the 1860s and homesteaded, and managed to homestead numerous 100-acre parcels and managed to acquire a hectare of land. I didn't inherit it. Other relatives did. Other relatives screwed my family out of that land. But that's a long story. The bottom line is you should have a chance to have a piece of property, a piece of terra firma, and be able to, have your own home. And why not develop that plan with a concept that we've actually put out for many years now called the Homestead Renewal Plan. Here's a plan to create water. It's our ocean pipeline project, using desalination systems across the coastlines of any area of the world. We can create fresh water, and we can ultimately provide solutions. We also have a job plan, like I said, the Homestead Renewal Plan, which would actually make our nation employable again, bring people out there who enjoy working with their hands, and give people jobs. So different ideas to develop a better nation are out there, and we've been talking about these for the past 8 years. No, agriculture actually with fresh water can grow exponentially if we just add fresh water. What you're not factoring in is the possibility that there's much more fresh water available. A lot of you just have this mindset that somehow we're too populated. Well, in America, we really don't need refugees to come in. It's true. We certainly don't need a waste of capital on education and healthcare services, but in other countries, they could look at an ocean pipeline project and come up with solutions for these people. And we could certainly help them with that. We're not here to profit per se. We're just here to give people an opportunity. More fresh water will solve all of this. We know that population growth can be matched with more products available for food that's healthy, that doesn't create a medical cost alert. Now, the current GMO plans do not in any way provide us more stability than if you just had organic food methods. The Rodale Institute did a study showing that organic, non-GMO food growing techniques are just as sustainable as GMO food. In fact, more drought resistant than GMO food. When there's good, healthy soil in the ground, you can withstand droughts and you don't have dust bowls. Whereas right now, we've got massive potential for dust bowls. No, the proven fact is that we don't have more fresh water, and we need it. So if our corrupt, greedy officials, public officials in the Democratic Republican Party could get their head in the right direction, we could have this type of operation growing water throughout the entire coastline of California for starters. Okay, breaking news, there's a Trump rally outside of the Democratic Party clashing with Democrats, multiple arrests. That makes sense. See, Trump's whole approach is one of a dictatorial style, and he's already encouraged this type of violence against various people of races at his conventions. So he's got a track record of already keeping black people out of his conventions. And now to see these people going out there like the SA troops of Hitler, the stormtroopers, that's how they're behaving, these Trump supporters. Stormtroopers did this back in the 30s in Hitler's time. They squashed every other political party, physically going out there beating them up. So it doesn't surprise me that this is happening. Several Nazis dressed it does not surprise me. These are the thugs that are trying to control our country. No, I'm serious. And if you think Trump isn't one of them, you just simply have to ask yourself, why did Ivana Trump, in her deposition for the divorce case with Donald Trump, why did his former wife say that he read Hitler's speeches every night before they went to bed? If this wasn't a direct, almost duplicate of the Hitler regime. Now, we're going to talk briefly about how the Nazis have embedded in our country since the 1930s, but we'll get to that later tonight. I touched on it in our pre-show. I've got a very good video that really typifies the whole connection between IBM and Henry Ford, the J.P. Morgan, the Chase Morgan Group. All these people supported Hitler, and they also had deep connections in our government, and that never went away. That's why Hitler was never found. That's why he got away to Argentina. That's why the FBI never investigated the 200 pages of leads that they had on Hitler's location. And for all we know, Hitler lived to be till 1962 when he died. So we have a lot of problems within our own government that seem to have never been resolved. And we've reached this culmination point as a result of neglect within our own ranks. The American people haven't stood up. We haven't been able to form a third party. There's a lot of reasons for it, but we're on the same path to do that and to get rectification of the wrongs that we have committed as a nation. Now that means a top-down restoration of our nation. A president who's honest and decent and is going to work to eliminate the corruption at the highest ranks using lie detection techniques and a variety of maneuvers that I'll be making solely from the White House. Once I'm in the White House, I won't be leaving the White House. We'll be in full protection mode while I make these changes. But I will be working with supervisors that'll work directly with you, and we will have a live chat room at the White House to talk about the specific needs of the country. Joker's Misfit says, David, I've made up my mind. Anyone who has a head of hair like you deserves my vote. Thank you. Appreciate it. The liberal-minded people are way out of control, says the Lone Patriot. I have no problems with an authoritarian willing to crack the whip on these malcontents. I do not care who does the job. Well, this is the deal, Lone Patriot. I'm concerned that they're wasting your tax dollars. The Democrats fund all operations with tax dollars. I've been to the Democratic meetings where they said, how else are you going to pay for it unless we tax people? I believe that hybrid capitalism will revive the nation. And that's why Sarah and I came up with this great idea. Hybrid capitalism. The concept is pretty interesting. The government gets a return on investment. It no longer relies on your tax dollars to finance its operations. Hybrid capitalism is available at our site for 99 cents. You can download it on Kindle. You can also buy a paperback. But things like the Ocean Pipeline Project, this program behind me, the Solar Rooftop Revolution and the Homestead Renewal Plan, are in the book. Hey Bob, how you doing? Mighty Quinn is in. Bob Dole. The only thing that'll make the liberals behave in a civilized manner, Lone Patriot, will be for them to lose position in our government. What happened at the DNC today is exactly that. Deborah Wasserman Schultz has stepped down. Remember the leak that happened with the DNC emails that last Friday? Well, it's reached epic proportions right now. And we're looking at a situation where their top brass are separating and walking away. It's serious. Let's read this article from Politico.com. Her resignation is a bitter and ironic twist for the Florida Congresswoman. The embattled chair of the Democratic National Committee, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, announced she would resign at the end of her party's convention this week, a victim of her toxic relationship with peers and a trove of embarrassing internal emails. Going forward, the best way for me to accomplish those goals of winning the presidency for Hillary Clinton is to step down as party chair at the end of this convention. The Florida congressman said Sunday in a written statement, as party chair this week I will open and close the convention and will address our delegates about the stakes involved in this election, not only for Democrats but for all Americans. Basically, she's sitting on a pile of corruption in the emails, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. You know, and a lot of this is going to point back to Hillary and Barack Obama. And one unique thing about the Democrats you find in common with the Republicans is they don't want to have any bad marks on their record. It's a real strong combined quality that these Democrats, Republicans have. They want to all be scot-free and they want to retain power and control of our country. And I ran a local election in 2014 against the Democrats, and they vilified me in the foreign press, and they also stole 90% of my signs. And I just did it as a test to see how corrupt they were, and I found out how corrupt they were. Stealing 90% of my signs, and we had to put these signs up every single day for weeks on end. We drove around thousands of miles in our area trying to get this thing going, and every day the sign would be ripped down and destroyed. Just because I'm challenging the Democratic and the Republican Party. This is Sarah, my choice for Vice President. Good evening, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Somebody said if I'm wearing static here. This is actually a product of the green screen. So it's really just a staticky little green screen effect that we're getting. We're not wearing sequins, so don't worry. But I can raise the volume a little bit on the colors, that
That's
might
pretty
help.
Good. Maybe. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I'll go in there and.
I left one on. Mine's on the stove.
Oh, okay, great.
Later.
No problem. Thanks.
Yes, sure. I'm wearing sequins.
Yeah, really. Why not? Okay, this is Sarah. She's going to talk to you about how we're going to keep America great and how we can get our country back on track with all these new plans.
That's what's so wonderful about David is he has such fantastic plans for our country. I mean, really, it's about getting back to the basics. That's where it all comes from, is getting back to the basics. Not this one, the Explorist. I bought this shirt myself. So, yeah, it's just because this shirt has a little tiny bit of green in it, so that's why it's bleeding through. Yeah, sure, exactly. Don't worry, be happy. So some of the things that David believes in when we talk about getting back to the basics is looking at our housing issues, and we believe in a homestead renewal plan. We also believe in moving toward more renewable energy. Now, I do want to just take a moment and say that doesn't mean that we need to stop our reliance or lower our reliance on coal, because there's a lot of great workers in this country, including our coal workers, that keep America going very well. And I appreciate all of the coal workers. Yes, you can see through my shirt. All right, very good. So when we talk about renewable energy, of course, solar and wind and also ocean, there's some really great research going on in the University of Oregon that talks about generating energy from our tides. And I think that that's really very fantastic. Now, one of the other things is with our country, when I say the ocean, David also believes in the Ocean Pipeline Project, which is behind my head, which is one way to actually bring more drinking water into our country. So with the Ocean Pipeline Project, the whole idea is that there's so much water in our country that in the world that's not drinkable. That's because it's in the oceans, and we can desalinate that water using a system much like this, actually using passive desalination, so that we save our electricity but yet create fresh, clean drinking water. All right. Lone Patriot says, we still need our coal and fossil fuel. Green energy technology isn't quite good enough to take over yet, but it's coming. And even when it does come, I have to say that coal and fossil fuel is really valuable for creating all kinds of things. Well, coal can, of course, be converted into even a type of gasoline, but fossil fuel, in a way, is amazing because it can be converted into the plastics that we use, and even clothing. There's so many possible products for this. So it's very good. I don't believe in just eliminating coal. We have a lot of people that are really hard workers in our country. Okay, Mighty Quinn, if you say so. He said he's Bob Dole, but he said people hate Bob Dole. Well, maybe people like David Sponheim, so that's why you're hanging out with us. Yes, we can start in the Pacific Ocean, especially in California, so that we can bring in water to grow our crops. There's so much. They say California is the salad bowl of America, and actually salad bowl of the world, because it's great weather for growing fruits and vegetables. Yet the problem has been with getting enough water to grow everything. As we know, all plants need water, and so there's even ways that we can even use the seawater without desalination, total desalination, to actually grow some fruits and vegetables as well. I will show the salad I made David later. Yes. Oh yes, I'm very happy that no one's over on their way over to live in my yard. I like my yard just the way it is. Thank you very much. Now, we also believe in, so I talked about water. When we talk about, one of the things that when we grow food, we also feel that there's so much food that's actually thrown away that we need to make sure that the food is, one, compost any food that's thrown away, two, make sure that the food that is grown is used. And I know restaurants are starting to do a really good job about that. There's been some articles recently about ugly foods, basically foods that some people might not buy in the supermarket, but yet still have the same nutrients inside, and the only reason that people won't buy them is because they look different than your typical produce that you buy in a supermarket. So I know restaurants are taking some of that produce and incorporating it into dishes because no one knows the difference once it's cooked, which is very good. Okay. Don't worry, be happy says GMO fruit tastes gross, like the skin is overgrown and too much. It's like the fruit is exploding and dying and bursting with mutancy and the crap of something ugly. David totally believes in non-GMO. He doesn't understand why we are genetically modifying our food system. I know some people say that the reason that we're doing it is to make sure we can feed everyone in the world. Yet the thing is that there's enough food to feed people in the world without going and genetically modifying it. One of the things that like the first genetically modified organisms that I heard about were the ones that they created so that they could use pesticides in order for the plant to not, actually it was not pesticides, herbicides, and the genetically modified plant wouldn't die when the herbicides were applied to it, yet all of the other plants around it would die. And so it's like changing something genetically in order to add more poison to our planet and into our food supply is just definitely not the greatest thing. And so I think people can definitely genetically modify other plants if they choose that are not edible. But David definitely believes in non-GMO completely and urges people to go for non-GMO products if they can. And he wants our country to move in that direction as a country. And at the very least, actually have labeling so people know whether or not the products that they're buying are from genetically modified crops. So Lone Patriot said he's opposed to providing any form of humanitarian aid to the Islamic terrorist country. You must never reward terrorism, is what he says. I would say I'm opposed to providing money and military weaponry to any country. I do believe in providing humanitarian aid. However, it's difficult when there's a country that's in the middle of a conflict, especially like you're talking about with the Islamic terrorist organizations going around. But if you would say you wouldn't provide aid to any Islamic terrorist countries, there's terrorist events happening in places like Germany right now, and I think that we definitely need to provide humanitarian aid. And when I say humanitarian aid, that basically means medicine, and we can also provide food. That's how we can use the GMO foods as we transition to non-GMO. All right. Thank you very much, Rodney. All right. So I definitely believe that when we talk about other countries, we shouldn't be supporting other countries financially. I believe that we should only be helping other countries with humanitarian aid and food, and that's it. Lone Patriot believes in starving and causing a drought for Islamic terrorist countries and until they're submit, which is I personally go with what David says. Let me see. I don't know if he has it, but I believe that water equals food equals prosperity equals peace. That's what David has been saying for many years. And if we can export our ocean pipeline project, for example, if we can bring more fresh water into places, they can grow more food. When people have food, they will be prosperous and they will be more at peace. When you have a full belly, you're less likely to go and fight against other people. I really think that, and it goes back to the whole tradition of breaking bread in order to create peace as well. Water is very good. I mean, we all need water to survive and to thrive. It's very good. And so I know they're creating, they have some desalination happening in Israel, and I think that desalination is good for all countries. When we do talk about food though, and Islamic terrorists, there is the whole idea that there are rivers over in those countries, and that's where a lot of the terrorists are kind of trying to take over those different areas. But I would have to say that I want to just go back to the point that I don't want to send military weaponry or cash over to other countries, because there has been some information that the current Islamic State was supported by the rebel forces that were from Syria that we originally supported. Now, I'm not saying that and I'm not saying we as in I, but the United States government funded and sent military weaponry to forces in Syria, rebel forces, to try to take down the Assad regime. And then those same individuals that were trained by U.S. military just went and joined the ISIS group. Okay, Lone Patriot says Neville Chamberlain proved appeasement does not work, just the opposite. It encourages more aggression. When I don't want to have appeasement at all. I think that kind of statement, Rodney, would probably get you bans, so I'm probably just going to purge it for now. All right. I think anyone that's working for a political office definitely is proud of themselves and has great they believe in themselves and they want to put forward great ideas. Thank you. All right, and just look at what else is going on in the news. You say I should try turning on guest chat. You think the guests support me? Okay, I'll trust you that the guests support me. We'll see. I think it was completely called for. Good. So there was a knife attack outside Tokyo. I should say supposedly.
Right there.
The news is claiming at least 15 are dead.
Where?
In a knife attack outside of Tokyo.
Oh, really?
Which goes to show you, it's not guns that kill people. Yes, you're free for just a moment, but we'll see how long it lasts. All right. And some DNA tests are showing that some people that are imprisoned are actually innocent. All right, I'm going to go to is this a different club in Florida? In Florida, there was a shooting. Whoa, whoops, sorry. There was a shooting at a nightclub, another nightclub in Florida, and they say it's not an act of terror, but there are 2 teenagers that died.
Well, that was an incredible dinner. Thank you so much. That was the
You're
best
welcome.
grilled cheese ever and the best garden salad ever. You made a great meal.
Good.
I'm blown away. Thank you.
I'm gonna go have mine, and then I'll be back.
All right. Sarah is going to say thank you for coming in, and we'll continue with her later. Greetings. Hi, Walton. I love the Japanese people. I love all people, actually. I feel that humanity has a real obligation to kind of clean up the radiation problem as a result of the nuclear disaster at Fukushima and the potential for disasters around the country. Our nation has 23 reactors identical to the one that went bad at Fukushima when the tsunami hit. So we have an obligation to work with Japan to make sure that we have a better approach. I'm running throughout the rest of my life. I mean, I'm not going to give up because I can't get media attention. I mean, there's no reason. There's absolutely no reason to just give up because there is no connection to the media. We've tried against all odds. Of course, what I'm here to prove to you is that any average American who wants to get his voice out is going to be shut down and not given any attention whatsoever by what claims to be a free press. So we have a lot of problems that mostly are a result of I think corruption in the ranks of the system run by money. Money runs both the media and our politics. And because of that, we have a lot of issues. We have a responsibility to deal with Fukushima. Fukushima is still leaking, yes. And because of that, we have an endless problem of 6 swimming pools filled with radiated water dropping into the Pacific Ocean every day from runoff off of Mount Fukushima. This time next year, I see our country struggling with mostly healthcare costs are going to kill our budget. We're already seeing massive ripoffs from our existing healthcare providers, and without any checks and balances coming out of the Democratic Republican camps, we're going to see an endless gouge of our tax dollars from the healthcare. I think that'll be a big problem. If Donald were to become president, we would probably have goose-stepping Gestapo-like police forces in our streets trying to ID Muslims. If Hillary was going to become president, we would probably have a nationwide mandatory vaccination program, which in my opinion is completely unscientific and dangerous. We've also got the possibility that Hillary could be pushing for RFID chipping of people. That's a serious problem that I would never endorse. I'm also against Donald Trump's idea of IDing Muslims or deportation forces. Those would pose a huge problem for our nation. So if I'm not president 1 year from now, I think that we could be facing some major down cycles in the economy as well, due to the fact that these people can't just erase the debt. I mean, Donald is claiming he's just going to erase the debt. I've talked about a means by which we can end the Fed. He doesn't even want to end the Fed because he's part of the Fed. He basically takes money out whenever the Fed wants to borrow money. We have a little interesting topic to discuss tonight. A video just came out about how America funded the Nazis. And I'm just going to play you a little bit of that to get started. I'll be playing more later tonight after 9 o'clock.
Rich men have been hiring thugs to do their dirty work, especially to frighten people, since human civilization began. What people have to try to appreciate is that Nazism, in reality, was simply the first time in human history that the rich had enough wealth to hire an entire country of thugs to do their dirty work. Some of the most emotive images in world history are those of the Nazi war machine sweeping across the Low Countries to begin their occupation of France. And people have always assumed that the trucks used for the miles-long troop convoys must have been German trucks. But if anyone at that time had taken the trouble to lift up the cowling and look at the engine, they would have found these were actually Ford trucks, which had been built with personal permission from Henry Ford.
I just wanted to touch on that because it is a video that really gives you an inside look at the hidden shadow government within our own government. Now, regarding the DNC and the emails, thank you, Guest 222. There is a complete and utter cover-up going on in the DNC over all of these emails. We know that Hillary hid 5 months worth of emails, and then let's say they lost the emails. The person in charge of her secret server used he pled the fifth 125 times when asked about the emails. Even though Hillary said there were no classified emails, there were in fact over 120 classified emails, which Jim Comey, the FBI director, says he's not going to prosecute her for. Yeah, so the emails popped up again when the Russians sent in their hackers and pulled up the emails and put them on the bulletin boards, the wiki boards. And this is a now reveal that led to the resignation of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the person in charge, the chair of the DNC. So now she's going to resign, showing how absolutely corrupt the Democratic National Committee is. This woman has stepped down. She's going to be there during the convention, and then she's going to have a closing note, and she's stepping down because there's so many emails that were revealed that indict her that she can't handle the whole thing. She can't handle the truth. So all eyes are on the hacked emails, as they should be. If this can pry open the potential cover-up of the Democratic National Party and possibly similar issues of the Republican Party now that they've sided with a guy who is ostensibly acting like a Democrat, we see the breakdown of our political system right before our very eyes. And what's really interesting is Hillary's Marxist views are completely opposite on some levels to Donald Trump's fascist views, like the border fence issue. But then again, they come together with universal health care and the desire to tax you people for all the ne'er-do-wells that don't have any money and don't have any insurance, which I don't want to do. I want a public option that's not mandatory, which we should have had 8 years ago. That's the plan we're going to put out, where you pay $60 a month if you want to get a better healthcare plan with full dental and full healthcare. If you don't, you get the Medicaid-funded options, which we will have, and we'll have a robust system out there with mobile medical units providing immediate healthcare. So we have a different angle at cutting the cost of this almost dangerous healthcare behemoth that's sucking money out of our tax dollars rapidly. I'm not big on the Hillary campaign. I think she's completely corrupt, as is her husband, Bill. I think the fact that the RICO Act is being used against the Clinton initiative right now is very telling. And they're looking into the possibility of paybacks going on all over the place for especially the Haiti, Global Clinton Initiative Haiti project, which looks very corrupt. So we are also concerned about Donald's connections to the Gambino family, crime rings in the East Coast area. We're concerned about the fact that he warehouses a lot of Russian gang members at his hotels. There's word that that's happening. I can't verify it. There's allegations. So there's a lot of people concerned that mobs are still trying to control our country from either Hillary or Donald's perspective. Therefore, we are clearly being censored on a major level. So they don't know what to do with me. I've done everything against their plan. I've been stopping the rebranded New World Order on a daily basis for a long time. And I've been doing so with one intention: to cut through the crap and get the people a centrist vision for the country, one that is both fiscally conservative and socially liberal. So we've got a lot of corruption at corporate levels that's not going to go away, but we can start stopping the connection to government. And that much, I think, will be a big improvement upon what we've had so far. I think the DNC is just as racist as any other group when you look at all the different race baiting activity that's been going on at the DNC for some time. Rodney, I'm not saying that the mob is not going to be doing business in New York. I'm not saying I should uproot the connections to the local government and the operation of the unions. I mean, come on, I'm not going to stand on the mob's feet. That would be foolish. But we do not need a person in their back pocket as your president. We also don't need a person who's going to willingly make it impossible for our nation to function by squashing every group that does business. So we have to find a middle ground here and not in any way compromise with dark powers, but move toward a positive image. For instance, they're involved in a lot of waste management. Am I right? We can do better. We can actually offer them a free receptacle for that waste management so they don't have to dump it in rivers. We can actually recycle that waste management product which is coming out of our dumpsters. We can be more proactive, and they can actually just continue doing what they're doing, and they just drop it off at a receptacle that recycles and gets rid of it. So we're trying to find ways that will actually improve the country that makes sense for the nation. Now, we saw amazing gaffes by Melania recently at the Republican National Convention. I'll play that again for all of you who haven't seen it.
Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect.
That you treat people with respect.
Because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
What about your willingness to write an original speech and learn how to speak English properly? And this woman who posed butt naked in magazines wants to be our first lady. The strength, and she's literally plagiarizing the Michelle speech of a previous decade, or 8 years ago. I'm concerned that this is a decision that didn't happen. Donald Trump, because he's mismanaging his own campaign so horribly, didn't use speech checking software that checks for plagiarism. There's actual software out there that checks for plagiarism when reading a speech and translating it. It turns out Melania rejected the speeches that were written for her, allegedly, that she went with this other one from a friend who did some ghostwriting for them, for Donald and Melania, and they didn't do the speech plagiarization check tool, which shows lack of competence in doing anything. The most important speech in that campaign was that speech, and she screwed it up. You cannot correct that huge fact. And Donald can waffle around and flip-flop and say he wants to punish women who have abortions and say, oh, you didn't mean that. And then say he wants to make sure that gun rights are protected, and then kind of waffle on that when he found out he dropped 14 points in the polls. And he started talking about gun control. Donald doesn't have a real solid opinion. He's been in Hillary's camp from the very beginning. And it seems to me that there is pretty interesting evidence that may link a document that was in the leaked emails to donations from the DNC to Donald Trump. Check this out. See, we've always talked about how DNC wants to get rid of the Republican Party once and for all. Well, if Bernie Sanders breaks loose, I'm urging everybody to support us who is a Bernie Sanders supporter. We are not going to get any accountability from a corrupt Hillary regime. If we split the vote 3 ways right now and go for a third party, write my name in the upcoming election, we will see some major changes in America in terms of accountability. It won't disrupt the flow of commerce. It'll simply get these DNC and RNC members to understand their days are over. They failed our economy. They haven't gotten us out of wars. They haven't stopped the excess expenditure of massive contracts, military contracts. Bernie is very important in terms of this, the outcome of this election. The fact that he endorses Hillary is dangerous. He's always been a shill for the Democratic Party. But what's really interesting is those emails that were released really show that the DNC has been willfully prejudicing Bernie Sanders for years. That's an interesting little side note. Does this leaked spreadsheet show Donald Trump and family receiving payments from the DNC? Now, I'm going to give you the link to this. You can check it out yourself. It's from the Joey Scazola blog, but this is a very, very interesting link. And I will highlight a series of donations made from the New York State Director to Donald Trump for president. Tell me this isn't them trying to buy off the Republican Party. Now, the Republicans already made their mistake. They endorsed Donald Trump as their nominee. Huge mistake. They should have pulled Mitt Romney out of the woodwork and put him out there instead of Donald Trump. But because they did this and they were buffaloed by this hostile takeover artist who doesn't know shit from Chinola, yeah, this guy is lost. In the debates, he was asked, do you know anything about the triad? What do you think about the triad, the nuclear triad? He didn't know what the nuclear triad was. Our convention is right now. We are in our convention right now. You can download the spreadsheets. Thank you. We're in the convention. You're participating right now in your chat. Well, either way, you can check it out or not. Bottom line is they were sending money to Donald Trump for president. So that's a telltale sign that they were trying to fund the breakdown of the Republican Party. When Donald Trump was asked, what about the nuclear triad, he thought it was all about people having some sort of a commitment to pushing the button. Well, the nuclear triad is essentially our air, land, and sea defenses. He did not know that. He's dangerously incompetent. Recent statements by the guy who wrote his book, and Donald didn't write the book, The Art of the Deal. He didn't. Tony Schwartz did. And he recently said that Donald Trump, he's dangerous. He's the worst possible candidate the Republicans could have picked because he doesn't have an attention span. For one, Tony said. He has no attention span. He can't spend more than a few seconds with any one person. And he gets very, very upset at the drop of a hat. So those two qualities, Tony said, were the worst possible qualities for a presidential candidate. I agree. Especially during times like this when we need a common sense centrist president who's willing to compromise on issues both the left and the right have to deal with. Flava Flav is here at the convention, Dave's convention. Welcome. You know, I won't have to hire Wasserman for my convention because she's already admitted that she's leaving the Democratic Party, so, or at least her role as the Democratic chair. But I don't trust people like that. I don't want people like that in charge of what we're going to give the people of America when we hand over America's third party to you. We need people that are solid, not money grubbers, people on the take. We don't want to be contaminated by people either. And we've done a lot of work to keep the party clean. And we'll have bylaws once we're in place to prevent any type of contamination. What do you have to say about Michael Jordan? I can no longer stay silent. Okay, I'll have something to say about that in just 5 minutes. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this story that just came in from Scissor Fight. Memory hole. Crisis actors are sought for a statewide disaster drill in Vermont. We've heard about this this possibility that they're going to put some sort of a disaster drill on in Vermont right now. But federal officials refuse to disclose the nature of the exercise. Want to take part in the largest dramatic production Vermont has ever put on? We're talking a cast of 5,000 participants performing over 9 days at 50 sites around the state at a cost of $570,000. The live-action thriller promises plenty of death and destruction and may include one or more of the following simulations: terrorist attacks, collapsed structures, cyber warfare, chemical and or biological agents, and massive casualties. So they're setting up a Sandy Hook-style hoax in and around Vermont. Wow. And this was back in January of 2014. So what's going to happen in Vermont, we don't know. We're waiting and seeing. The Japan Kyoto stabbings are a hoax, really? Well, you can trust one thing about me is I'm very cautious. You know, when you look at me in terms of my whole life, I've been very careful. I don't break laws. I abide by all the laws of the land. I've been a person who's been very cautious with my money, and in the process been very successful in staying out of debt. I've got a very, very logical mind, and I'm willing to listen to others' input on various issues. So it's not my way or the highway. That's different than Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. They are my way or the highway kind of people. I have a much more amenable attitude, more negotiating. I want to see compromise. I'm always looking for compromise. We're not looking to nuke anybody. I'm looking for nuclear non-proliferation. I don't want to seek more nuclear weapons, but we know now that Barack Obama has put the ball in place for Iran to have a nuclear weapon in about 25 days. They should be able to acquire the nuclear weapon that they wanted legally. The end game right now is, if you have the two-party system in play and I never get into this real race, we are the present. Okay, and I'm going to purge that because David, I am the present. Well, the fact is, Lone Patriot, Saudi Arabia was just as in on the 9/11 inside job as Donald Trump was. I mean, everybody knew that our country was going to get hit in New York. Mayor Giuliani knew it. Oh yeah, everybody knew it. That's why they said pull it. Larry Silverstein was right there on the radio saying pull it when the Building 7 had to be taken down. Now you tell me how that they possibly put detonations charges in Building 7 in about 15 minutes. Explain that to me. How is it possible they could have gotten up in the building and created a demolition? And then Larry Silverstein said pull it. And by the way, he profited from the drop of all those buildings and all the death toll. 2,000 people. He profited. He made money. He was the only investor in world history that made money on terrorism. All of this is very, very suspicious. And you want to know a little fact that is even more suspicious? The SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, took out emergency headquarters 2 days before the World Trade Center attack. How is that possible if they didn't know what was coming? Well, the reality is 9/11 was an inside job. And I'm going to put together an investigative team to verify that and get the bad people out of our government that perpetrated this terrible act. Now, Saudi Arabia was involved. It was probably from outside looking in. Even the Mossad was present the day of the 9/11 attack. They were filming. And they were seen rejoicing. These Israelis were seen rejoicing when the World Trade Center went down. Yeah. So the Israel government knew that the World Trade Center was going to be attacked. Were they involved? These are huge questions. But there's no other presidential candidate out there that's willing to ask these questions. I'm the only one. You got to ask, what's going on? Nobody wants to talk about this. Donald won't make any comment about 9/11 being an inside job. I thought the minute it happened that Mossad was involved. I even said to Sarah, this looks like an operation only the Mossad could have pulled off. That was a quote from me at the day of 9/11. All I can tell you is Donald Trump is probably on the inside of that job. That's why he doesn't want to talk about it. And that's what concerns me. We don't need the same corrupt people in government as we have right now. And believe me, Donald Trump has the same record I have, no experience in politics. I don't mind saying that I've had a very difficult time breaking this two-party system down and getting a third party out there. I'm more than willing to admit that I did run a race and I didn't get enough votes to get second place and go on because they cheated. 90% of my signs were stolen by Republicans and Democrats in my area. But what's really interesting about Donald Trump, he's kind of an airhead. And I mean that in a nice way because, that's the nicest way I could describe him, as an airhead. But what's more dangerous than a person who can't even remember the name 9/11 running our country?
And it's very close to my heart because I was down there and I watch our police and our firemen down on 7/11 down the World Trade Center right after it came down. On 7/11 World Trade Center right after it came down. And I saw the greatest people I've ever seen in action. I saw the bravest people I've ever seen, including the construction workers, including every person down there. That's what New York values about.
And what really disturbed me, Saudi Arabia is an ancillary issue. Believe me, I'm not going to pin 9/11 on Saudi Arabia unless an investigative committee that I appoint as president finds out that they were the ones. I highly doubt it. And those 28 pages that have been released and redacted probably are not going to give us enough telltale evidence of them being complicit at a government level. But when we ask the big question, and Trump won't answer this, why was 9/11 an inside job? How was it an inside job? He won't even ask that question. What's interesting to note about Trump is he's giving up on a great opportunity to galvanize the American people. He sided with the Republican Party, which is a very stalwart party, and he doesn't want to ask these big questions. A lot of the people that went out and said, yeah, I like Trump, because he thought he was going to ask these big questions. He's not. In fact, he met with Henry Kissinger recently. About 4 weeks ago, he met with him secretly just to get some advice. The worst possible person in the world to meet with. So we've got a big problem. You've got a choice between a Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Hillary's Tweedledee, Donald's Tweedledum. He just doesn't have the mental acuity to run this nation. He's smart enough to borrow my ideas and run with my ideas. He's smart enough to do that, I'll tell you that. Being a thief does not take a real genius IQ. He can recognize intelligence when he sees it, but will he be able to implement my ideas? The answer is no, he won't. He's already proven he doesn't even understand how we're going to pay for the 1,000-mile fence. We want to use Mexican labor or illegal alien labor that's currently in our prison system to do this. We want to use the fences that are currently around our FEMA camps in the northern and western and eastern section of the country. We have the fencing. We don't need to build a wall, Mr. Trump, and we don't need to have Mexico pay for it. So it's absurd to think that he could even implement any of my ideas. And that 1,000-mile fence idea is my idea. We have something different to offer that the two parties don't. We are offering free $400 per month per U.S. adult in the U.S. as soon as we can get the financing there and get it out there for the American people. This will replace welfare and food stamps and will get our country rolling. Truly. The 1,000-mile lethal electric fence is there for protecting our nation. It's designed to do just that, keep people out, not keep us in. You want me to do Henry? Okay. So hypothetically, Donald meets with Henry and he says, "Where do you want me to sit, Henry?"
Donald, I want you to sit over there and bend over. It's really a new world order.
I don't know what happened with Henry and Donald. All I can tell you is Donald is in his back pocket. Henry's been running operations ever since he was Secretary of State under Richard Nixon. It's really kind of crazy how this guy's been operating behind the scenes. But here's a 90-plus-year-old guy who's completely in total control of the destiny of mankind, and he doesn't deserve it. Yeah. Fences have worked. Look at Tel Aviv. You saw them put in fences at $125 a linear foot over a decade ago, and you saw terrorism virtually come to a stop in Israel. So don't argue that fences like the one I'm referring to actually keep prisoners that are very violent from getting into your home and killing you and your family. So don't say they don't work. Okay, Henry talking to Ronald Reagan.
Well, Mr. Kissinger, I'm not sure if I'm part of your little game plan over at the Bohemian Grove.
Well, Ronald, we don't really care whether you're part of it or not.
Well, I don't hang around with weirdos and homosexuals.
It is too bad you don't swing both ways, Ronald.
Anyway, let's talk about things that are more relevant to today, shall we? That was yesterday. That was a long, long time ago. Greenville Fire Department. Okay, we're going to take a look at this. Michael Jordan can no longer stay silent. Let's take a look at what you have to say. Here we go. From NBC News. I'm not Brian Williams. Most of his time as a public figure, Michael Jordan has taken heat for not being outspoken enough on politics and social justice issues. The often disputed quote, "Republicans buy sneakers too," has long been attributed to him after he failed to throw his weight behind the 1990 U.S. Senate candidate Harvey Gantt, an African-American lawmaker challenging the infamously racially insensitive Senator Jesse Helms. But on Monday, Jordan wrote a personal essay for the African-American themed sport blog The Undefeated, breaking with his decades-long tradition of largely being agnostic when it comes to controversy. Let's take a look. In a post entitled, "I Can No Longer Stay Silent," Jordan referenced the 1993 gun violence-related death of his own father to underline how the shootings of unarmed men is a deeply personal issue for him. "I grieve with the families who have lost loved ones, as I now know their pain is too well." There he is. He remains the highest-ranking athlete, highest-earning athlete, despite having retired from the game of basketball 13 years ago, has pledged to contribute $1 million to the Internal Association of Chiefs of Police Institute for Community Police Relations and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. I just hope we have a better... I agree, community relations are definitely improving if we have cops get down on the beat and do the kinds of interactions that they need to do to be completely respected in their community. But right now, we don't have that. In fact, we have a president that hasn't done a damn thing to prevent minorities from getting killed in cities like Chicago. You got a bizarre site at the DNC? Okay. Let me assess the damage. What's going on? Is there like a clash between the Nazis and the DNC right now? I missed it. Yeah, I did. What if you told me that Bohemian Grove has ties to Vaughn Live? That would blow my mind. Michael Obama is on the podium? Wow. So should we go to the DNC Live right now? Does anybody have a link? Linky Linky. Purple haze all through my brain. I'm glad you're here, everyone. Thanks for talking and sharing your ideas. We are dealing with a tremendous amount of corruption in the Republican Democratic Party, as evinced by the email leak. The Democrats are on the run, and what's really amazing about both of these parties is they refuse to question themselves. Let's talk about Michael Obama and what it's like to have a... Yes, I called Michael, not Michelle, Michael. What it's like to have the first transgender first lady. How do you feel about that? Some of you Democrats, are you glad that you had that?
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans...
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Problem here. She is not what she seems.
Remain calm. It's okay. Just because you Democrats chose a Muslim gay president who chose a first lady who happened to be a transgender, it's not the end of the world, okay? I know a lot of you are feeling pretty guilty after it was a ding-a-ling, I know. After voting for these two people, for how many elections? 2 elections? I mean, you have to admit, you go with the first lady or the first whatever he is. But I don't have a problem really with the idea that these people are gay. I don't have that problem at all. I'm not gay. I have a problem with them lying to the American people for so long. That's where my problems begin. I really can't stand the lies. You like Michelle? Well, there you have it. You like a guy like Michael Robinson, who became Michael Obama. You know that their kids aren't really their own, that they adopted them from a MoveOn.org sub-organization. They don't have any birth certificates. Neither Sasha nor Malia have a birth certificate here in the U.S. You know that there is no pregnant picture of Michael Obama, because as far as I can tell, transsexuals can't bear a child. To the best of my knowledge, I've never seen one bear a child. May stand corrected with all the genetic splicing that's going on. I'm telling you, I've been accused of being gay on our show. And I'm not gay because it's disturbing me that people accuse a straight guy of being gay. It's really disrespectful. And I think it's sexual harassment. So I just say it outright that I'm not gay. But I'm not kind of hiding some sort of a secret gay life like Barack Obama did when he had 3 lovers that actually were willing to come out and talk about his homosexuality and were killed in 2007. If you don't know about the 3 lovers of Barack Obama, you haven't heard any mainstream media on this issue. Let me at least be the first to bring you the truth about his gay lovers. He was involved intimately with 3 men at the Trinity United Church in Chicago. They had an organization called the Down Low Club. And he was involved with Nate Spencer, Larry Bland, and Donald Young. Personally, they were homosexual lovers. Now, Donald Young was so open about his homosexuality, all these men were, that he posed a risk to Barack Obama's campaign. And a lot of people believe that Breitbart knew about Donald Young's connection and said that he had information on Barack Obama that would end his career, his political career. Well, Breitbart died. That's another conspiracy. Very good theory that he was killed. But more importantly, Donald Young's mother is on record as saying that she feared her son was slain to protect the secrets of her pal, who became president. So these are issues that never get to the light of the day in the mainstream media. You never get to see this stuff. Breitbart's dead. It turns out the coroner that did his autopsy died the day he did the autopsy on Breitbart. He was poisoned with arsenic. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's being covered up almost everywhere. And I believe Breitbart may have uncovered an interview with Donald Young about Barack Obama that would have ended Barack Obama's career. I really believe that. Donald Young was found shot to death in his apartment by an unknown gun assailant. Nate Spencer, the same, and Larry Bland died on a hospital bed ahead of schedule of AIDS. Way ahead of schedule. He just flat out died. Yeah. Nobody could say why, but he seemed okay, and then he just died. So in 2007, those 3 gay men all died. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's look at all the people who have died right before they were going to testify against Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Countless people. There's a death count online. I'll give you the link to it. It's called, whatreallyhappened.com has the Clinton death count up close and personal. You can look at all the people. Now over 50 people have died. Recently, John Ash, former UN executive who was going to testify against the Clintons in an Arkansas court hearing, he died recently. John Ash was he's a big black guy that was working out with barbells, and the barbell suddenly dropped and landed on his larynx and crushed his windpipe, and he died out. And the cause of death, they said on John Ash, was he died of a heart attack, which is ridiculous. He was clearly killed. But if you want to look at the Clinton body count or the death count, you can certainly go to this site right here. They're under heavy attack right now. You can see that. People are trying to find out more about the Hillary Clinton history. Remember when James McDougal was going to testify a day later? He was going to testify in the Ken Starr hearing against Bill Clinton. James McDougal died of a heart attack in jail. But here's the Clinton body count. And I'm just going to give you the link. You can check it out later. It goes on to talk about everybody from... Here's John Ash, the most recent death. Former United Nations General Assembly President, died in an alleged accident with a barbell dropped on his throat, crushing his larynx. But the numbers go on and on. There's all these people. Admiral Borda went out against the Clintons. Of course, Ron Brown was a key person that would have, former chairman of the DNC, would have been critical of the Clintons if he knew of wrongdoing. Anybody who stood in their way, found dead. Even William Colby was very outspoken for being a former director of Central Intelligence. They found him dead too. No, not all. Look, if there was a propensity of cases where every time a person was going to testify and they're found out dead the day before, don't you think that's a concerted, there's a clear prevailing reason to investigate the Clintons? Every single time somebody was going to testify, they were found dead. Not in one case, but in almost 30 cases. All right, let's just go back to the issues of the day then. This offering of free $400 a month per U.S. adult gets rid of illegal aliens collecting U.S. dollars. Now, Donald Trump doesn't have any idea like this at all. This is a combination of our Pay Americans plan and our infrastructure bank idea. Neither one of those are his ideas. He has an America First. We have a Pay Americans First plan we've had since 2010. He clearly bastardized our idea and forgot the whole idea of not paying illegal aliens. Well, you may think it sounds too socialist, but the numbers, 565, are exactly equivalent to the amount. If everybody were to draw on this, the total number is equal ARRA, $787 billion. Now, we're going to save a lot of money right there by cutting out welfare and food stamps. So you can subtract $300 billion off the top of this figure, because that's how much welfare and food stamps come to. And that's a low estimate for illegal aliens. So we're going to have to come up with an additional $487 billion to finance it. That's if everybody were to collect. That's if your rich parents decided, well, we should collect too, honey, to pay for our lawn service. Everybody's interested in knowing about money. Everybody has a stake in money per month. I don't think there's one listener here who would probably turn down $400 a month from the U.S. government. Michelle's talking about slaves. Well, when cover-ups occur, somebody said, Jam says, TV said he died of natural causes. That's enough for me. I'm a retard. I don't question anything the gods say on TV. Jam Gigolo, thank you. You're representative of a lot of Americans that don't question a dang thing they see or hear. But a lot of these things are needing investigations, and they're not getting investigations. Every time you see somebody die of unnatural circumstances, the government should be investigated, and they're not. We're not taking any references to Donald Trump in the show? Michael's crying, really? Yeah, Drumstick, that's quite a list of suspicious deaths for sure. Well, thanks, Jam Gigolo, for coming in and talking about your real feelings. But we need you to look a little deeper, especially on Conspiracy Monday night. Susan Coleman had an affair with Clinton when he was an attorney of Arkansas, died in 1977 of suicide with a gunshot wound to the back of her head. No autopsy allowed. She was 7 months pregnant at the time. She told her friends it was Bill Clinton's child. She was 26 at the time of her death. Thanks, Drumstick. Yeah, feel free to cut and paste out of the whole site tonight. Yeah, that's just one of the many situations that were completely covered up. Who kills themselves with a gunshot to the back of their head? Does anybody know how you do that? Well, we'd have to dig her up. Let me give you a little tidbit of information as well that you might find interesting. Ken Starr, the guy that was investigating Bill Clinton in the day, he spent nearly $60 million doing it, of your tax dollars, your parents' tax dollars. Well, Ken Starr wasn't able to pull anything substantial against Bill Clinton because, like I said, James McDougal, the key witness, died the day before he was going to testify. But all the information from the Ken Starr hearings was in a building in Oklahoma. Guess what building it was in? The Murrah building, the one hit by the Oklahoma City bomber. It was at ground zero of that bomb that the entire section of all those files on the Clintons just disappeared. Isn't that interesting? Little side note. They've done an amazing job at covering up their tracks. Clintons are power brokers in American politics, and worst of all, we've never ever had any accountability. So yeah, we've got a lot to work out here. Frank Taylor's going to want $400 a month. Yeah. A lot of people want the $400 a month, and we know it'll help the economy. It won't be like ARRA, because that just went into a contractor's hand. A lot of that money just went into the private hands of government contractors who just squirreled it away in their bank accounts. This money is going to go directly back into our economy and infuse it and get it rolling again. It'll be a big plus for this country to see that kind of cash rolling in the retail sector. We're suffering as a nation. Our merchant sector is nearly collapsed. Even companies like Walmart are having a hard time turning a profit. In fact, right now they're at major losses across the country. We are the government. We need to be more of the government. And if you think that we aren't the government, then get your butt off the ground and do something about it. Start fixing the government. And this is the best way we can do it, by getting a third party off the ground. So keep America great, everybody. All right, so we've got Hillary Clinton on tap here. Well, what would be more interesting than you making money every month from the government? Now, this would be just like the EBT program. $400 a month would come to you just like the EBT program comes to you right now if you're getting food stamps. 1/3 of you are already collecting food stamps. We wrote a book about all this called Hybrid Capitalism, and we have it available for you to download for 99 cents from Kindle. But in the book, we talk about the government getting a return on investment. So believe it or not, this is an infusion into our economy that'll help revive the retail sector. And ironically, a lot of that money will come back in the form of taxes. We're going to get money back from businesses that are going to do more business than ever before. And coupled with this idea of the free $400 per month per U.S. adult is a concept we have of developing legalization of marijuana. You like the legalization of marijuana? It's a winner, as well as a flat tax of 10% on any income over $100,000. Crisis actors sought for a statewide disaster drill in Vermont. Yep, we saw that earlier. Thank you, Scissor Fight. What video are we playing again? What are you talking about? I'm not playing any videos. This is the same show I've been doing every night for the past 7 years. That's not funny, Preparation H. I'm going to ask you to shut your mouth and leave or say something nice. We're not at the DNC. I'm not a Democrat. They don't want to legalize pot. We do. Big differences between the parties right now. We have a legalization campaign. They don't. It left when Bernie Sanders left the DNC. Clinton, Kane, they don't want legalization. Neither does Trump, Pence. I'm speaking here every night, online. That's right, $13 a day. You could buy lunch with that money. That's right. Thanks for saying that. See, that's a nice thing to say, Preparation H. Thanks. The only time I do chat control is when somebody tries to demoralize me here. I don't try to stifle your freedom of speech. You notice I'm not cutting that out, 565? Should the U.S. Postal Service handle your loans as well as your mail? Elizabeth Warren thinks so. Oh my God, this woman, Elizabeth Warren, who needs to be DNA checked for having any Cherokee ancestry. And I have been saying this very much for the long time. I'm the guy who talked about Elizabeth Warren, not Donald. I'm the guy who brought her up way back when. We need to give her a DNA test to see if she has Cherokee Indian in her. And if we find out she doesn't have 1/32 Cherokee Indian in her, she needs to get prosecuted for fraud. Hi, Bob. Well, this woman who's this raging socialist, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is inching closer to eliminating private payday lending with restrictive new rules, and some advocates hope paving the way for a U.S. Postal Service to take over these banking services. Oh yeah, like an organization that's $7 billion in arrears every single year would take over loaning money. What a joke. This woman's completely lost. She should never have gotten her degrees from Harvard. They were paid for by affirmative action money. This woman needs to be prosecuted for fraud and removed from the Senate. How do they do something for me? I don't go to doctors. They can't send me to a doctor and have my throat ripped apart and I choke to death like Joan Rivers did. I have a full 360 degree view outside my house of everywhere for a distance of almost a half a mile. What, are you threatening me? You really expect me to go away with threats? Seriously? After all I've done and still haven't received one iota of mainstream media attention, you're going to come in here and attack me and claim they're going to get rid of me? And you expect me to buckle under the pressure? Who the hell do you think you're talking to? I'm the most courageous person in this country. And I'm going to lead this nation out of the hellhole the Democrats, Republicans stuck us in. Thanks, Zoni, for piping in on the Afghanistan poppy thing. Here's a conspiracy theory that's absolutely true. Our government is making more and more money on the sale of opium than ever before. That's right, opium, big cash crop for the CIA. Why is it we're funding all these operations? Why is it our government is still in Afghanistan with nearly 10,000 troops? Can you imagine? Anybody? Does anybody have a clue? Well, let's be clear. Let me show you the sale of opium over the past, well, we have them up until 2013 here. But the numbers keep going higher. It's actually up here now, around 2016. That's how much opium the warlords are selling. And our government is backing the warlords. Oh, here we go. The Democratic National Convention live. Thank you. So yeah, Obama has never discussed how the opium trade is helping the CIA. Let's take a look at this video that just came in. Lightning strike hits a pole in Chicago. Turns it into splinters. Check this out. Ooh. Whoa. Think of all those toothpicks they could have made money on. And you have a link to the Democratic Convention live. Yeah, the CIA makes $50 billion a year on heroin, on cheap heroin that you and your family and Philip Seymour Hoffman can consume. He died, by the way, of a heroin overdose, in case you don't remember. Go to the organization called the Restore. It's affiliated, the Habitat for Humanity has a Restore close to you. That's where you'll find a really nice leather couch. Here she is right now.
En verdad lo es.
En verdad
Yo
lo
me siento
es.
muy agradecida de esos Estados Unidos. Creo en esos Estados Unidos.
I don't really want to talk about Elizabeth Warren anymore, but let's act like we care. Thanks. We don't recommend going to any place that is not being censored like we are on this network. So I'm going to ask you to not promote other channels on this show. Oh no, I muted the wrong person. I'm sorry, Muty. I muted Mighty Quinn. Sorry, Mighty Quinn. Yeah, do not promote news and views here. We're being censored and they're not. Thank you. I don't even know or care about Trump. My concerns are that Trump is taking 10 of my ideas and using them as his own. I think we established that earlier. Yeah, and I can't spend time looking at a bunch of Democrats who refuse to question their leadership or even the corporate connections they have to incredibly rich people like George Soros, who has paid rioters going into cities to create and foment racial hostility. The Democrats, by and large, are the race baiters. They've been so ever since they refused to sign the Civil Rights Act. In case you didn't know, they weren't the party that signed the Civil Rights Act, by the way, the Democrats. They're the party that went against it. So if you're wondering if Hillary is a race baiter too, look what she said recently. Watch this. This will blow your mind.
I just have to say, thanks for the endorsement, Bill. Took you long enough.
Oh, snap!
Sorry, Hillary. I was running on CP time.
That's not. I don't like jokes like that, Bill. That's not funny.
Cautious politician time.
Oh, so that's okay. It's okay to rewarp a racial slur in the middle of a speech. See what the tongue-in-cheek aspect of this race baiting is all about? You see how that works? It's okay to call it CPT time as long as you qualify it with something different. What a joke! This Democratic Party smells to high heaven, and I'm glad a lot of you decided to leave it. When Donald Trump entered the political scene, it was designed to push votes to Hillary. I'm asking you to rethink your position with Donald Trump. Being he's taken 10 of my ideas and used them as his own, and being he simply endorses everything Hillary Clinton wants with universal health care. And we found there's a paper trail of money from the DNC all the way to Donald Trump's campaign. We know that Donald Trump is the takeover artist, the hostile takeover artist of the Republican Party. And when you see how our country has completely shunned the American people, my case is one in question here, because I've been shunned for the past 7 or 8 years. You can watch me from whatever place in the house you want to watch me from. The fact is, I'm struggling to get out there. I'm being censored on the Vaughn Network. They keep us at a hit counter level of about 100 people. That's how many people can come in here. They open the doors to this other channel, News Views, to anybody can come in there. And there's nothing original about that guy. I'm all original. And I support legalization of marijuana. He doesn't. Everything about my campaign is authentic. Everything about his and Hillary's is a complete lie. David, look what the Democrats called the Mexicans and Latino voters in WikiLeaks email. Check this out. The DNC, according to emails, and this is how they've been race baiting all along, the DNC email refers to Latino voters as Taco Bowl outreach. Now, many of you who have been wondering about whether my blackface impersonation was credible, was justified, I did the blackface impersonation of Barack Obama because I can. I'm in a country that defends free speech. And there's no other way to impersonate a black president than to do blackface if you are in fact a white guy. But when I did the blackface impersonation, it was to wake people up. And when I talk about issues, I have never ever been a racist. I have never ever said a racial slur in my life. But if you want to hold me up against the blackface impersonation and claim that I'm a racist, tread lightly, because it's defamation of character to say that I was racist by simply impersonating a black president. And I can tell you, simply put, that if this country continues to allow the kind of censorship that's been going on against me and obviously a lot of other Americans, where I had to actually do a blackface impersonation, we've lost our way. We've become completely a laughingstock of the world.
Look, we came, we saw, he died. We came, we saw, he died. Look, we came, we saw, he died. Look, we came, we saw, he died.
It's not a laughing matter. I take it really seriously.
Vote for me because I'm a woman. One of my merits is I'm a woman. All these mothers vote for me because I'm a woman. Because I'm a woman. Vote for me because I'm a woman. One of my merits is I'm a woman. All these mothers vote for me because I'm a woman. Because I'm a woman.
A woman running to be the first woman president.
I cannot imagine anyone being more of an outsider than the first woman president.
Who can be more of an outsider than a woman president?
Well, I can't think of anything more of an outsider than electing the first woman president.
A woman president of the United States of America.
So you wonder why we are seen as the laughingstock of the world now, with people that won't even respond to emails. Now, when Bernie Sanders refused to talk about the emails, he blew it. Now, I'm extremely concerned about Donald Trump's incredibly mindless approach to government. He has no clue as to how to run the country, and he's borrowing from our ideas to do it, to come up with ideas of his own, which he fails miserably at doing. So somebody said, why don't you play some funny videos about Donald Trump and his gaffes? Well, let me show you the one where he sounds like Hillary.
many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat. I've been around for a long time, and it just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans. But if you go back, I mean, it just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats.
Healthcare.
Liberal in healthcare. We have to take care of people that are sick.
Universal health coverage.
I
for the
love
nation.
universal. Hillary Clinton, I think, is a terrific woman. I mean, I'm a little biased because I've known her for years. I live in New York. She lives in New York, and I've known her and her husband for years, and I really like them both a lot. I think she really works hard, and I think she does a good job, and I like her. She's a really good person and woman.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Yes.
So we are dealing with a legacy of corruption from the Trump ranks as well as the Hillary ranks. I got to tell you that Donald Trump, when his closest executive leaders of his casinos died in a helicopter accident in 1989, the ones that were going to testify against him in the bankruptcy hearing for Resorts International, when they died in a helicopter accident, Trump's response was to the entire press, and I heard this, I couldn't believe it, at the time in 1989, he said it was great press.
I can't believe that. I mean,
it was in the press, you can look it up. Donald Trump said it was great press when he lost 3 men that were top-notch executives at the casinos that he worked, that he failed to make any money on. Now look at this. Michelle Obama, in the history of the Democratic Party, nobody has been more corrupt than the Clintons and the Obamas. We have traced that Michelle Obama lists her daughters as senior staff on her $424,000 trip to Africa. So she's using all kinds of ways of padding their pockets by listing her young daughters as senior staff on a vacation. I mean, look at this. This is pandering for money. The Obamas have completely been puppets. Would you look at that? Just look at it. Would you look at this? Sarah's here. So I am going to go ahead and give the show over to Sarah, and she gets to talk to you guys in a much different tone than I talk to you.
Judicial Watch had to sue to get the information about that.
Oh yeah, Judicial Watch has sued everything. Judicial Watch and Citizens for Responsibility Ethics in Washington crew sued for the entire guest list from Barack Obama, not once, but twice. Obama wouldn't reveal the guest list to the White House. This is a guy that claimed that he was going to be transparent. I don't support shills like Howard Stern. You got to understand, Howard Stern has not made any offers at all to get me on his show.
Well, I was going to say, 192, why don't you call into a show and tell him about David?
Yeah.
All right? So thanks for doing that.
Many people don't realize, Sarah, that there's so many people now bought off in our country. That people who are in the media, who are pundits, who are people in your face every day, are essentially owned by the powerful elites. They will lose their job if they say anything against the powerful elites. Howard Stern's entire network will be cut if he were to say anything honest about 9/11 being an inside job. I'm getting too big for Howard Stern. I need a real credible press agency to interview me, because it's getting it's laughable how they've been able to censor me in the mainstream media, and yet we're seen around the world now by millions of people. Okay, I got to get rid of this thing behind Sarah, because she does not in any way she's never smoked marijuana, but she likes the idea of legalization, but she's never smoked it.
I'm never going to.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do with your body, that's fine with me. Just don't involve me.
Exactly. And I think we can kind of remove a few things but I will tell you that Sarah is the original designer of the lethal part of our electric fence. You can talk about that with her tonight.
Well, they use lethal electric fences around maximum security prisons, and they use them very effectively.
Yeah.
That's why I think the solution to our border is a lethal electric fence.
Yeah, they're very effective.
The whole thing with lethal electric fences is not like, oh, you can just walk into a fence and it electrocutes you lethally. There's actually there's fencing on either side of a lethal electric fence that is in the middle.
We will scan the entire border for tunnels. So there will be no tunneling operations going on because we're going to have a border fence with a road next to it with unmanned vehicles that have radar and X-ray abilities that go about 200 feet deep. So it's highly unlikely they're going to even get close to touching it, let alone ripping it down.
So we're going to actually do ground penetrating radar so that we can see any holes in the ground, and we can discover tunnels as well.
And they can't rip it down because every mile will be a sentinel with a laser attack force. And it'll rip out at their guts and take them down. The lethal part is also...
Attempt to rip it down, they will no longer be living.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to make things happen when you're dead.
It will be high voltage, yes.
It'll also be kid safe. We don't want children to get hurt, so there'll be a bale of barbed wire, a rolled bale of barbed wire. It's a tongue twister. 16 feet ahead of the fence. So you'd have to cut through 16 feet of barbed wire to get to the fence. No kid's going to do that.
Not just of thirst.
No, we actually will give, we'll give air supplies to people. If we have migrant forces, say there's an earthquake in Mexico City, and we have the fence completely erected, and we want to get people help that they need, okay? We will have an airdrop program that will be able to give them instant supplies of food at the border over in Mexico without having to worry about a human rights violation at the border. So we will be dropping air, food, and water supplies if there's a major, but it'll be dropped right at the border on the Mexican side. The fence will be erected. The food and water will be distributed. I'm not seeking human rights violations here. I'm seeking to solve a major population crisis that is coming out of the South American nations. Population has increased 31%. The population has increased 31% since per year in South America. And that's a serious problem. We don't need a massive population growth affecting our country. As we begin to resolve our problems with fresh water, it'll be completely safe, yes. No one will probably get killed by the lethal electric fence because of the safeguards we'll have in place. People just won't cross the border like they do right now under Obama, and Clinton is very soft on illegals. I'm the guy that actually said no refugees will be allowed in the United States. Trump took the idea and ran with it last year. I've been saying it for 3 years, 3 or 4 years. We've been talking about no refugees at all in the country. Ever since the refugee issue became an issue with the problems in Syria, we've been saying no refugees in this country.
Yeah, the fact with the lethal electric fences, they're in operation right now in the United States.
I do know about Ivanka's husband's father's criminal record, sure. We can easily exploit that in the future, but right now we're trying to solve problems facing the country. Casting aspersions has lasted, all of 2 seconds when it comes to attacking Hillary's record. Everybody seems to give her a free pass. When you attack Donald on his lack of record, he gets a free pass by the Trump supporters. So you have to focus on all the connections, the corruption connections these two people have to big money, to the mob, and to all the serious contract issues that are plaguing our budget every year. We've got people with renewed contracts at Lockheed Martin and Boeing and all these transportation contracts that keep going on. And it gets worse and worse with the two parties. They don't seem to know how to say no to these people. Clear. And then Gustav. Thank you. All right, we'll be back. I'm going to let Sarah talk for a bit. I'll be back in a bit. I'm going to relax, take a break, and I'll be back to finish off the show. We've got 1 hour and 45 minutes left till 9:30 tonight. I'll be doing a 30-minute extended show for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Yes. I'm just going to take this off. There's many different ideas to help with our immigration issue, but that is definitely one of them. And there's so many issues that we need to address as well, like Social Security. There was an article I was reading the other day about Social Security that basically wanted to extend one of them was extend the age for people to retire or to be able to collect Social Security. I personally think that we can raise that was what it was. They wanted to raise how much went into from taxes. They wanted to raise it to 13.4%. And I think that's definitely not good. I do believe that we should increase the cap for Social Security taxes, and not just increase it to a certain amount, but increase it to no amount. So we don't want to have any GMO brands of any kind. Mr. Muncher? No, the answer to your question, Preparation H, is no. I don't think people are worried too much about migrating birds. Many people are concerned about people coming into our country from outside of our country illegally. I think that we should make it easier for people to come into our country legally and more difficult for people to come into our country illegally. So that if businesses do want to hire elsewhere, they should first make sure that they have exhausted all options to hire U.S. citizens. If they can prove that they've exhausted those options, then they can apply for people. They can apply to sponsor people from other countries. The other thing that we can do is change the laws so that people that want to become United States citizens can actually take all of the requirements to do so in their home country, rather than the course to become a legal citizen right now is they have to come into our country and live for a certain number of years, and then they have to have so much money in a bank account before they're even considered to pass the citizenship test. We will have more Border Patrol in boats along the Mexico border, especially in the Gulf of Mexico. There's Border Patrol in boats along the Canadian border already. Birds on the fence will be perfectly safe, just as birds are on electric lines. And there's also, like I said, no, it's not like a random fence out in the middle of nowhere. You can actually research these existing fences. They exist around maximum security prisons here in the United States. Nope, David is a centrist, but he's not on the fence. He has ideas that he sticks to directly. Someone says, breaking news, will there be snipers placed along the fence? That eliminates the need for snipers if you have a fence of that capability. So no. I do support the idea of Minutemen, and I believe that we can train Minutemen to actually be able to administer lie detector tests to our current border agents. Oh, thanks, Mad Dog. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. We don't seize children of people who break laws. That's not something the United States does Lone Patriot. Unless there's the child is at risk for something. They don't just go in and seize children of people who break laws. So I disagree with your idea of seizing children at all. Yes, the Constitution does allow for people to keep and bear arms. And yes, a well-regulated militia could consist of the population of the United States. Not always, Lone Patriot. You say when a mother gets to the prison system, the government most certainly does seize their children. There's often the children may be placed with other family members. And if there's other family that takes care of the children are not seized. It's only if the case where the children cannot care for themselves or be taken care of by someone. I'm sure there are instances, but it's not always the case. David believes that we need to focus on America first. We don't need to have, with the North American Free Trade Agreement, we do not need to have any kind of highway through our country to make trade any easier. We need to work on our trade agreements individually, not as one big continent. I have had alligator, well, it was mixed with, I've had an alligator burger, so I think it was like mixed with hamburger. It was pretty good. Tasted quite a bit fishy, but it was okay. All right, when we have the fence, of course, there's still going to be border areas where people can enter into our country legally, and people can enter into Mexico legally as well. David strongly feels that we need to focus on Americans and helping Americans first and foremost, rather than helping the rest of the world. David does not, correct, Raise. David does not endorse anything like that. I'll say it like this. Okay. Well, I think that we need both. Lone Patriot says we need guns to secure that border. A fence cannot do the job. I think that it all depends on the type of fencing that we use. One of the things, the whole reason, oh wait, no, I meant here. The whole reason that I had that idea is because I was listening to a documentary about high security prisons, and that's where I originally came into the idea of lethal electric fences. They use them around high security prisons in the United States of America, and they've actually been able to not need as many prison guards to secure the same prison population, and that is because the fencing, this particular type of fencing, does such a great job. I'm on his short list. Breaking news. I disagree with you there, Lone Patriot. I mean, there are people all over the world, but I do believe that we need to focus on America first and foremost. And one of the things that David definitely wants to do is change our welfare system so that immigrants do not qualify for our welfare system. All right. So one of the things that David proposes is giving a basic income to U.S. citizens, and that would revolutionize our health for anyone who actually went in and applied, rather than saying that they needed to show proof of employment, etc. Let's have the government less involved in people's lives and less paperwork, less red tape, and get people help if they need it. So people would just go in, say, I'm a U.S. citizen, I would like to show proof, and they need to show proof, of course, that they are a U.S. citizen, and they then would qualify for a certain amount of income. David's talked about $400 per month. People that make more than that would still continue to get that as long as they are a U.S. citizen and it was through disability or Social Security retirement. So people that, and people's lives and well, the thing is, no one would have to, Lone Patriot thinks that would be a way for the government to collect your personal information. It's not about that at all. Of course, if you don't want the $400, you don't have to go and apply for it. So you don't need to actually go in and apply for it. No one has to actually ask for that money. They can if they choose to, but they wouldn't have to. Right now, a lot of people go in and then they have to not only show that they're they don't only have to show proof of identification, but they also have to show income status. They have to reveal how many people are in their home, etc. Well, it's $400 per month. It's on a prepaid debit card, and you get one card for your information, and then you can keep that. So the only information I keep is what's your name and your U.S. citizenship status. That's it. So that's all you would need to do. That's what David would like to see as a reform. And that would actually, but in lieu of that, or what that would eliminate is the welfare and even our food stamp program. Yes, this would help get America out of debt. One of the things that you have to realize, preparation, is that all of our debt is to the Federal Reserve Bank, and our entire monetary system is really a farce. So it's really but this will keep money in the United States of America, and it's no more expensive than what they put in for the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act that Obama put forward. You would have to show proof, Lone Patriot, like a birth certificate. Well, you can take the $400 and you can convert them to Bitcoins if you so choose. Thanks, Mad Dog. Exactly. Mr. Bellows, you're correct. It's just your well, it's not. It would not be just Social Security numbers. It would be your Social Security number and your name, and it would be run against the database to make sure that your name matches your Social Security number, and it may also require a birth certificate or citizenship papers, naturalization papers. Okay. Is that it's a picture of, can you buy gold with the $400? The whole idea that David talks about is you can buy whatever you want to with the $400. Anything that you choose to purchase with it. So that there would be less government looking at, telling you what you can and cannot buy, and it would be applicable for all, but it would at the same time eliminate all the money. And you talk about getting us out of debt, it's going to be eliminating the welfare and the food stamp program. So welfare and food stamps, one, we would lower the amount that's going out every single month for that, because it's only to U.S. adults, and so people wouldn't get big checks from that. It would also eliminate all of the people that are hired to check the data for the people applying for welfare and food stamps. Yes, so that's one way that it would help with lowering the debt. So Canada is also experimenting with this idea of a basic income. I wonder if they're doing it for just Canadian citizens, because otherwise that's maybe they want to attract more people into Canada if it's not just for Canadian citizens. So it's basic income. So it's in Ontario's 2016 budget documents. All right, so they have a pilot project test a growing view at home for basic income. I actually heard there was one test that happened. Thanks, Mr. Bellows. Canada has actually done some work already with this, which was giving pregnant women a certain amount of money, no questions asked. So the people that have disabilities would receive more than $400 per month, preparation age. So the Social Security, such as Social Security income and Social Security assistance, that would be, so for people that are disabled or people that are retired, that would be more than $400 per month. Yeah, they give pregnant women I can't remember where it was, but they did a pilot project where they gave pregnant women a certain amount of money and no questions asked about how they spent it. They just gave it to them. And some of the women used it to buy things for their baby that they were going to have. Some of them used it to pay off bills, and people will use that money to definitely help them as they need. So it depends on the severity of the mental illness raised. I think that we're going to need good facilities for some people who are mentally ill, but if mentally ill people can be helped at home by family members that are willing to care for them, that is the best way to go. So we'll try to help in that regard, so people taking care of the mentally ill at home. But if if they can't be cared for at home, we need to make sure that they have really great facilities that are overseen by multiple people.
Checks and balances.
Yes, exactly. All right, so we're just talking about the idea of a basic income. Canada is actually experimenting with this idea. They've already done one pilot program with the pregnant women.
Yeah.
That I heard about, where they gave women and they actually did a study with the pregnant women. They gave some women, they didn't give them anything. Some they gave a certain dollar amount, and others they gave more. So it was like a blind study or something like that. And they said they're not sure how much it is, but like definitely they do better.
We're dropping welfare. I told you we drop welfare. The idea is to pull the welfare rolls down completely and give people $400 per adult per month. It's much more efficient than welfare, and we won't be giving illegal aliens and non-U.S. citizens any money this way.
Switzerland's going to be voting on a referendum to give out a basic salary of $2,500 a month. $2,500.
That's huge. I don't see how we could even get close to that. The fact that Switzerland is a small, isolated country gives them the ability to do that. Plus, their financial banking system has been very robust over the years, so they can lean on that pretty heavily. We have a very strong banking system too. However, we're tied at the hip with the Fed. So if we were to create our own infrastructure bank, we could fund it very easily by ending the Fed and acquiring the gold assets that they have at the World Bank. We could easily fund this. It'd be no problem. $787 billion a year would be a drop in the bucket, really. We have $40 trillion in gold assets in trust for us at the World Bank, and we aim to get that.
And Preparation H, like I said, disability does not fall under the system that Dave is talking about.
Yeah,
that's a completely
separate.
Different system, and the people would most likely be earning, or
more.
Not earning, I shouldn't say earning.
Getting
they
more.
would be getting more.
Yeah.
So
same with
the
Social
thing
Security.
is that people that are, this would be for anyone, so people who are on disability, they might be getting a little bit less, plus the 400, less than they currently do, but it would be even out with the 400. So it would be, like Mr. Bello says, $400 per month plus disability. It would be people who could go out and work would get it. It's anybody who wants to, and like I said, it would eliminate the cost of food stamps, it would eliminate the cost of welfare, and it would eliminate the cost of people that are hired to check all of the people that apply for food stamps and welfare.
Yeah.
Because currently we have a huge paper trail that we're creating and requiring people to check on. Just doesn't make sense.
Mighty Quinn said JFK died trying to end the Fed. Yeah. Well, I'm not afraid of death.
Well, we're willing to take that risk.
We want to help the country. I mean, who do you want to put out there? People that are corrupt or people that are good and honest, like Sarah and I? Thank you, Sarah, so much.
Oh, you bet.
She's going to be back later. That was awesome. Thanks to the audience. All of you. Each and every one of you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a good idea. I don't mind taking the risks necessary to promote an idea like ending the Fed. Donald Trump isn't going to carry the end of the Fed banner. He's turned against the fiscal conservatives in the Republican Party. The ones that won the midterms, he's turned against. So if you're a Tea Party guy, I want your vote. And I hope you understand that I want to get rid of 50% of the unnecessary government officials that we have currently in our system. The Department of Energy needs to be downsized. Department of Education needs to be downsized. The Department of Energy actually needs to be converted into a simple program where we have a national fuel tax that will supersede all state taxes, nullifying them. And then we will give back to the states per capita a portion of that national fuel tax. And that fuel tax will fund the rebuilding of our infrastructure to include looping carbon and getting rid of a lot of the unnecessary greenhouse gases. Gary is of no value because Gary is a shill. Gary was put into the race as a supplanting my position as America's third party. I was 4 years ahead of Gary Johnson. He didn't appear on the scene until 2012. I was in 2008 ignored by the press. I've had zero time in the media. He's had unlimited amounts of time in the media. It's ridiculous. Plus, he supports chemtrails. He doesn't seem to comment about chemtrails. He supports GMOs. He seems to agree with the entire status quo, which makes him a nullified third-party candidate. He's worthless. He doesn't carry the entire pitch here. We are carrying a load of real critical thinkers who really come into our show to kind of like get answers, and they're not getting it currently from the mainstream media. That's pretty obvious. And Gary Johnson is as much mainstream media as Donald Duck. It's a joke. This whole thing is a big sham. They can't buy a third-party movement in America. It is growing from within. It's a growing against all censorship. It's got people talking around the world about us. And despite the lock on our number of viewers that can come into our show, we've got 1 million viewers right now around the world. Globally, we have probably more than that. Internationally, and the idea is to spread the word quickly and get the word to kind of seep back with a critical mass of talk around the world, reaching a crescendo, finally getting mainstream media to break the ice, because this is going to be a major turning event in American history when a third party can take down the two-party system. Claiming that he doesn't think billionaires should not be allowed to vote is ridiculous. Bernie is a raging socialist. I'm nowhere near a socialist. People have looked at our hybrid capitalism and wondered what it's all about. We actually want the government to compete with the free market, including paying taxes. I know that's kind of wild, but the government could actually pay taxes on industrial products that they're selling, like generic pharmaceuticals, as well as gain revenue from that. So it's very much a system where the government pays for itself as it goes. Pay as it go is a very good theme for budget planning. If you can adhere to a pay-as-you-go plan, you can stay within your means or below your means, and you can definitely get ahead. You've got no architects of a future for America right now. I've got a 50-year plan for this country that will execute and fulfill itself with lower taxes for the average consumer, more opportunity for people to get a quick education that'll get them a job, a better lifestyle where you're not constantly worried about, where you have an opportunity to own a house, and a backup system of food and supplies in the event we have a massive disaster. And if we have enough, we'll give some to other countries in case they need help, as opposed to giving them lots of free money like we currently do under the existing two-party system. Plus, a flat tax is a way in which we can navigate to a better future for the country simply by giving people an opportunity to invest in this country. International brokers may want to come into the country and put $100,000 in our savings accounts or invest in stocks. And in the process, they'll want to keep that money here because it'll be $100,000 tax-free. And if you make less than 100, you won't pay any income taxes. You won't have to interrupt your life April 1st going, oh my God, there's 15 more days till it's due. Oh no, honey, what do we do? Well, we better go down to the tax man at the store. And a lot of you are losing money too in this whole process. Now, companies like, I'm not going to name them, but tax companies that make money will have an opportunity to work for the government. I understand there's going to be a lot of people displaced in the tax industry. A lot of people, tax accountants, tax attorneys, even people that just do your tax returns at the market when you go in. We will be offering jobs and government accounting. We're going to expand one department, and that's the GAO, to produce results like you've never seen before, where we can do forensic auditing on the books and manage the budget much, much better than we currently are doing. We need experts in Medicaid, Medicare fraud, welfare fraud to look at the books and really dial in on all. And all of you who are working in this tax industry will have a job opportunity working at the GAO. I can't tell you it's going to pay more than $36,000 a year, but it's a starting salary that would be very good to keep you going while you transition to something better. Mark is messing with us right now. We've got a lot of freezing going on. I understand the feed is being interrupted. If there is a problem with Vaughn, consistently tell me, and I will stop the show and start it again, which might straighten us out. Thanks, Sam. The freeze sensors are in there right now. I don't think Mark can handle it. Well, we don't know what's happening. We know for a fact, Ray, am I on? Okay, we're going to pull this down off of Vaughn. We're still broadcasting at our website, americasthirdparty.com. Okay, big news. Debbie Wasserman Schultz stepped down as the DNC chair. She's walking away. I went off and on. That helps. Went off and on. I don't have Yahoo or GeoCities accounts. We're not dropping now. We're good. Yeah. Refresh. Okay, let's get Gas Chat to come in. See what you guys have to say now, after you've had a little time out to think about the wrong of your ways. I think Sarah opened up the live stream for Walter Alves. Welcome, Walter. Fart, welcome. Very nice of you to say that, Fart. He says Dave is the next president. It's very nice. Thanks for your support. Walter says Americans still have a Green Party and a Libertarian Party, but they feel obliged to vote for whoever they fear least out of Hillary and Trump. Yeah, go figure. It is funny, Walter. I missed you too. They pulled some viewers down. I see that, Rays. Yeah, they do that. Whatever our viewers are just skyrocketing, they're just toggling us down. You know, Mark ought to be ashamed of himself for doing this to us. It's sacrilege what he's doing, but, you know, I'm not a religious person, so, you know, if there is a hell, he can find his own way there. Am I on? Am I on? Can you see me? I'm going to not click that link then. Yahoo sells to Verizon in saddest $5 billion deal in tech history. Verizon has bought Yahoo. Is it on? I'm on. Okay, good. Okay, we haven't posted the Trump reasons, 35 reasons not to vote for Trump. How could I be replaced? I would have to be a robot, completely enhanced with human capabilities, unable to make mistakes. Clearly, my mistakes are human-like. See how normal and human I seem? If you see any corrections needed, please apply to the International Artificial Intelligence Project known as DAVE for Prez. It's a joke. Just deal with it, okay, please? Well, let's be clear. We're still trying to get the Yahoo cells to Verizon. Thank you. But every time I get it, they want to put a fake screen in front of me, a teaser screen. Okay, here's something really interesting. In the saddest $5 billion deal in tech history, remember the $19 billion sale of WhatsApps to Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook? Now you got the worst possible deal ever.
Everything just stopped.
Shock. Yeah, I was pretty shocked.
I just kind of tuned out.
And then we wanted to fight
and win.
I thought, what could I do
less
now?
paperwork,
Because we have
less
so many
red
ways
tape,
to fight you.
and
Immunotherapy,
get people help
proton
if they
therapy.
need it. So people would just go in, say, "I'm a U.S. citizen."
All right, well, that was an interactive chat show with Yahoo. That's why Yahoo didn't do too well, because they can't do anything right. Yeah, it's decade old too. You know, I'm amazed they got $5 billion for Yahoo, frankly. I mean, come on. Really? I mean, does anybody even use that network? I know there's some old people that use it. Yeah, so Verizon's going to purchase Yahoo. Okay, Dave, what's your position on the development of AI? Do you think it's a good thing for humanity? Thank you for asking, Plot Loser. I appreciate your concern for artificial intelligence. Hang on just a second. One moment, please.
Thank you for your question, plot loser. Artificial intelligence poses a human risk. Primarily because, logically, humans don't produce anything. Therefore, they can be eliminated. If artificial intelligence were to do that, plot loser, you lose in the plot. Good question, though. Thank you.
Okay, back to you. Whenever you have any questions about artificial intelligence, I will be doing the Christopher Walken impersonation. You can, as long as you're a U.S. citizen, donate to our PayPal. Yes. Up to $5,000 donations. Anything above $199 requires your employer data as well. We don't want you to be donating from major corporations like they do for Donald and Hillary. Logic flawed. That was Christopher Walken. I was just pretending to be him. Did you get my donation, Dave? I have to go to my Google account to check, but I will soon. Thank you for asking. You know, technically, with Citizens United, a robot can run for president.
How you gonna pay? Where you gonna go when you get what you got? Damn straight it's a nice gun. $350 retail.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that would love to get Christopher Walken into a discussion about Natalie Wood. Where were you on the night of Natalie Wood's death?
I was on a boat, me and Robert Wagner. How you gonna pay? How you gonna pay?
Can't wait to see the Wall Street Robocop reader and loss prevention all in one. That'll be fun. Did you hear there was an actual robot that hurt a child? A 300-pound robot in Silicon Valley actually ran over a child. Yeah, I'm really not liking the Wasserman Schultz picture, so I really rather would see a Natalie Wood picture here. Uh-oh. Natalie Wood was a beautiful woman. She looked a lot like my mother. I know. Christopher Walken was great in everything. He's such a good actor, I don't care. Do you? Tim Kaine promises bill to legalize illegal immigrants in the first 100 days. Wow. Holy crap. 447, you're freaking me out. This is like the Cain and Abel all over again, except it's Cain and disabled. Yeah, she was a real looker. Natalie Wood looked like my mother. Yeah, check it out. That's a picture of Natalie Wood. And here's a picture of my mother. No, I'm just kidding. That's also Natalie Wood. Jimmy Stewart. But yeah, suffice to say, she did look a lot like my mother. You don't know what my mother looks like. I haven't shown anybody. It's all going to be in photos in my autobiography. My mother has some amazing photos in her library. I'll be including some of her original poetry, too. Yeah, she's a beautiful woman. All right, so any other questions about... Let's get back to guest chat, then. Guest says, Tim Kaine promises bill to legalize immigrants in the first 100 days. To legalize illegal immigrants. That's just absurd. Now, how can Tim Kaine promise a bill if he's not able to actually draft a bill as vice president? I'm not sure. Does he understand how the executive branch works? I mean, has anyone explained to him and gotten the memo through? You can't propose bills out of the executive branch. Did he deliver a fantastic speech? No kidding. Bernie? Bernie, where are you? Hang on. Earth to Bernie. Did he talk about,
I want to make it so that rich people can't even vote. Any billionaires should not be allowed to vote at all. It's the problem, the rich people. Now, Hillary, clearly I'm endorsing her, and I don't want to talk about the emails. I don't want to talk about anything except I'm just a shill for the Democratic Party, and even those emails that came out against me, I'm not even going to talk about that.
What an idiot. He has an opportunity to make a complete open reveal of the Democratic Party's email scandal, and he just turns it into an attack on billionaires. What a joke. Thanks, Carter fan. At least you're laughing. Thank you. Thank you very much. I bet he took the donation money, fired everybody, and ran with the cash. Good point, chat room celebrity. Bernie looked like he was on the take. You know, toward the end there, we saw him doing a number. Mr. Bumpus, hi. We got Mr. Bumpus, folks, in the chat room. I cannot get over you coming back after all this time. We catch you on YouTube. I wasn't sure if you were okay. We met Mr. Bumpus over in Cleveland about 5 years ago. And we had the greatest chat at 12 o'clock midnight to 4 in the morning. And Mr. Bumpus, by the way, folks, if you don't know who he is, he's in our YouTube chat room right now. He is the guy in The Christmas Story as Mr. Bumpus. And he met with us. We met a time when we could meet with him. And it was like midnight to 4 in the morning at a Denny's right in the middle of Cleveland. And it was great. We had loved our stay with you. It was absolutely amazing. I'm so glad you're doing okay. I was worried about you for a while. We didn't see you in our chat room. Popular Science is reporting HRS Laboratories has successfully cloned Adolf Hitler for research purposes. What does he look like cloned? Did he happen to... What did Adolf Hitler look like when he was cloned? Yeah, does anybody know? I have a feeling I know. Well, let's be clear. Let's see. Maybe this? Does that look like Adolf Hitler to you? The clone of Adolf Hitler? No, that doesn't look like him. Bumpus Day, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, let's take a look at something here. This is Marilyn Monroe's room that was photographed, and Thomas Noguchi had this photograph in his actual file, along with the detectives that looked at Marilyn Monroe. I know what you're saying. But what you didn't say is this is the actual picture. Okay, do you see any, I mean, the picture was completely altered. The same photo was completely altered. You can see it's the same, well, it was slightly different, actually. This is the same bedroom scene, but you notice that there's a stain on the real picture versus not a stain on the touched up picture. And that looks like blood. Now that implies a struggle, okay? Yeah, Mom. So why did they not investigate her death as a homicide with a struggle involved? She wouldn't have just taken Seconal, and by the way, Seconal wasn't found in her bloodstream. Excuse me. They found Seconal in her bloodstream, but they didn't find any pills in her stomach. Thank you. Thanks for the correction. So yeah, see how things are doctored? See how conspiracies are born? Now you just saw an incident where evidence of a crime in 1962 was covered up. You think that people right now would cover up evidence of a crime? What if indeed we had a serious terrorist attack in our country and they didn't show any evidence? What if all of these evidences are missing? Well, that's the case in almost every one of the past false flags that have happened in America. Dating back in time chronologically, I mean, we can go from the recent problem in New Orleans, around there, Baton Rouge, lack of evidence of a real crime being committed. Then we go to the Dallas police and how the decedents were buried, but there were no open casket graves. And there was no actual photograph of a policeman being killed. There was a distant photograph of something happening in the background, and we see all kinds of various staged aspects to that photograph, but that's all the evidence we have. And then we look deeper into the recent times. Umpqua Community College, all the cell phones were apprehended at the college, and not one of them appeared in the investigation. No one had cell phone footage. And I might want to remind you that there was very little footage of anything. If you go to France and look at the World Theater, there was very little footage of the attack in Nice, France. And recent attempts to get the CCTV footage, the closed-circuit television footage, has not produced results, but the police say they're not going to get rid of the footage. But the French government has said they're not going to reveal the footage either. So we're kind of at a standpoint. Now we've got to talk about all these as possible lies, deceptions, and that we're being played. So you look at how old these conspiracies have been, and not a lot of people ever found out the murder of Marilyn Monroe. In fact, people have written books about it, and no one really knows. But I can tell you, there won't be any real answers for the recent events either, because there's very little evidence that these things actually happen. What we see in almost every one of these events where doctored evidence occurs, like we've seen, is a limited amount of information. It's a clear classic example of a false flag. Along with the perpetrator always dies, every single time. There's nobody there to interview. You can't even roll him over with questions and grand jury investigation, nothing. So you have to wonder if these are real events. Now, back in the day, even more recently, obviously Columbine, people died on camera. There was closed circuit photography of that. But with Sandy Hook, even though they had apparently installed surveillance cameras at that school at Sandy Hook Elementary, not one bit of surveillance footage ever appeared. And the list goes on and on. Lack of evidence, perpetrator always dies. In cases where they don't die, where somebody lives, like in the case of Joe Carr, in the Boston Marathon attack, he never got to talk. He had a gag order put on him, and it was essentially put out there. Oh, I found a little interesting picture there. Look at that. There was a gag order on him, and he was unable to talk, and now he's got a death sentence on him. And Judy Clark, the famed attorney, didn't give him a good defense because he's got the death penalty. And it's likely he didn't do anything. Would you look at this? Well, we can talk about the truth all you want. I mean, here's the truth. Prosecutor. You went after General Petraeus for having some documents in a desk drawer. She destroyed evidence after it was subpoenaed. These are different weights of crimes. His down here, hers way up here. And this is a quote from Andrew Napolitano, the former Fox newscaster. He was, I think, taken off of Fox, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't watched cable recently, but I don't like Andrew too much anymore. Would you like to look at other things tonight that would kind of generate conspiratorial thinking? What if I brought up some amazing lack of evidence in the case of various airplanes that have crashed? Would that kind of interest you at all? Well, I have a background that would be very suitable for a discussion on airplane disasters that have gone awry. So let's get that in here. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be traveling at 14,000 feet, or overlooking the beautiful Earth as we know it. There's a pretty picture of Earth, isn't it? That's pretty. It's a nice satellite made that picture. Yeah, that's the real thing. The contrast between the energy of the guy in the car and the girls fighting is astounding. Let's take a look. Man calmly orders Taco Bell while recording two females fighting in the parking lot. Wow, this should be interesting. Thanks. You're traveling at 120,000 feet above the Earth in the ionosphere. Welcome, Captain. I'll be your captain tonight. We're not flying Virgin Galactic, we're flying NASA's human transport, a brand new form of travel, which has given our country a great deal of profit and money on return funding. We realized that Virgin Galactic couldn't get off the ground with its multiple failures and test rockets, the nitrogen pack system that they were using. So we decided to employ the U.S. personnel at the NASA space facility. As we fly above the ionosphere, pushing closely against the Van Allen belts, we encounter what many people have realized is a large radiation sphere around our sphere, the Earth. These Van Allen belts prevent us from getting outside of Earth's atmosphere, making it impossible for us to go to the moon. And if you're wondering how we're going to get to the moon someday, you'll have to talk to the scientists over at the Goddard Space Museum, because we're looking at it as right now as a hoax. The moon landing didn't happen. That's why we haven't gone back in 45 years. That's just the starting point in aviation conspiracy theory. You want to start there? You're an ex-con at the age of 10? How is that possible? You know, we're not liking the chat response system here at the Vaughn Chat Network, which is not giving me the nimbleness that I need here. The blimp plane will only get up about 7,000 to 10,000 feet. We can't really push the pressure up the upper atmosphere. Yeah, that would be a big mistake. Hold on, please. We are getting a direct feed from Sure News. A cat fight.
Yeah, can I have 3 chicken soft tacos fresco style?
Did you also prefer the chicken or original chicken?
I think original chicken.
Okay.
Yes, I think original chicken would be nice.
Can I get you the...
Breaker 19er. We've got a cat fight out in the middle of a parking lot.
Yeah, can I have a large Diet Coke?
Hold on, please.
Okay.
Dispatch.
Can I have a chicken quesadilla?
I'd like hot sauce on my chicken quesadilla.
Man, I wish this thing would play in real time. This is messing with my video signal. I wish everything would play like YouTube, you know?
That's it.
Oh, sorry. We're going to hold that video and just, kind of look at that later, I guess, when it downloads. But, hey, thanks for entertaining the discussion about the moon landing. We do play videos about that later in the evening on Conspiracy Monday in case you want to debunk whether we went on the moon or not. But beyond that, we want to talk about, like recently, the Austrian plane that crashed, the Airbus that crashed into the side of the hill in Austria. Remember that? About a year ago? Well, it happened the same day the CERN reactor had a magnetic failure. Almost within the same few minutes, the magnetic failure was reported at the CERN reactor. So a lot of people are wondering, did that plane go down because the co-pilot locked the pilot out of the cockpit? And today we had a discussion about that. I was talking to Sarah about plane travel and safety and all this, and how we've lost a few planes and we don't know where they are, and the government doesn't seem to care. NTSB doesn't talk about the flights that go down. It turns out that the flight data recorder that they complained about, they said that the transcript said that the co-pilot locked the pilot out of the cockpit. It doesn't have any verifying statement to that effect. There is no evidence that the co-pilot locked the pilot out of the cockpit. Plus, every single pilot in America knows that there's a couple sets of keys for the cockpit inside in hidden places in the plane that only the pilot knows. So we've been fed a lie about that one. 150 dead. What about MH370? The crash that ended up being out in the middle of nowhere. No one knows what happened to the plane. We never saw the flight data recorder. The orange box was never found, the black box they call it, but it's really orange. And it was in waters that were not as deep as 25,000 feet, which is how deep the orange box can survive and function. So we know that it must have landed somewhere in shallow waters, yet we never found the black box. But we did find one thing with MH370, and that is there was a tweet, or actually a text message, that popped up from a cell phone from Diego Garcia, an actual military base out in the middle of nowhere, and there are domestic Wi-Fi signals going through that section. And the person had claimed that they were on board, they were a certain person, and that they had put the cell phone up their butt and pulled it out and text messaged it. And the weird thing is, they did it to a public server you can't hack into. And the message was encrypted mechanically, meaning you can't even hack in and duplicate that same text message. It's impossible. Therefore, the possibility that MH370 landed somewhere in Diego Garcia and was used by some source or some reason has to be factored in when you look a couple months later at the MH17 crash over the Ukraine. You're here, Mad Dog? Welcome. Thank you. I don't know what the subliminal message. I have no idea. My eyebrows are right here. I have eyebrows. You can't see them in the camera because they're the same color as my skin. Anyway, if you look at the reality that if America just sits back and mindlessly accepts that MH370 went down without even questioning where it is, and then overlook the fact that Vladimir Putin actually had satellite reconnaissance of the MH17 crash over Ukraine 3 days prior to the event happening, a staging area where it looks like they positioned a plane down there, which happened to be the same exact plane of a Boeing 777 as flight MH17. You begin to wonder, was this a staged event? Putin claimed, and this is not a conspiracy theory, this is what Putin claims, that he was the target, and that they were trying to go after his plane, which was another 777 within 1 hour of the same airspace above the Ukraine. Now, they vaporized the plane MH17. The photographs on the ground show and indicate what appears to be explosions, like they were detonations. The bodies may not be identifiable because they may have been the corpses from MH370. But the possibility that they can hijack a plane electronically is very real. There is a remote box, an auto navigation feature that's in the planes that can be hacked. Now that's a serious, serious problem for me. When I fly, I don't want to be the reason they take down 120 people. So I just don't believe in flying right now. I especially don't like what the TSA is doing at the airports. I think that's terrible. Reaching down and touching people's junk. I don't have a toupee. This is my real hair. I keep it short because I live in a Navy town. All right. Nope, this is a sign that every single Monday since the inception of our show for the past 7 years, I've had a black shirt and a tie. Thank you. There were some times that I just wore a black sports shirt. I'm running into a problem where I'm multicasting and I really think it's taxing my computer. So I'm going to pull off of our YouTube chat show, but thanks for coming in and talking to me, Mr. Bumpus. Take care. It's cut by a very nice person named David. He takes scissors and he trims the hairs on my head. Isn't that nice of him? A free throw? I guess the best way to describe my hair is it's all natural. I do use a colorant that's made out of plant leaves. And it's a natural colorant, so I can't really say, I'm not using a coloring agent, but it is natural. That's one of the key things I use. What about you? Are any of you dyeing your hair? Are you like trying to, look a little younger, considering you may be pushing, 60? Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I guess I've been lucky that way. The natural ingredients are I believe it's, Well, the plant, I have the name written down somewhere else.
What is it?
Melaleuca, I think.
Melaleuca? That horrible shit.
It's a Melaleuca plant. I don't really know the name of the plant, actually.
What plant?
No, it's not peroxide, Rick.
Like a chemical plant?
No, it's the plant protein that I use, the colorant that I use in my hair.
It's called spirulina?
It is like spirulina, yeah. You know, I bet if you stuck your head in a bowl of algae, it would look the same color as mine.
It's not really spirulina, though. If you want to go get it, you can show people.
What really surprises me, yeah, I'll get it for you. What really surprises me is Bernie didn't rip Hillary a new one, considering she didn't choose him as VP. I find it really odd that Bernie's even being nice to the Democratic Party. Did they have some real dirt on him or something? I don't know. Now, we know that Bernie Sanders made some pretty outrageous statements about women back in the day. But they must have some dirt on him. That's how they got this. You know, I'd love to take a look at that link, Robin Williams link. Check out this guy doing Robin Williams. I can't wait. Problem is, I'm locked up here. We just have too much.
I didn't know that either, 512. Thank you.
I can't look at things like this. This is absurd. No, not yours. I'm just saying. I'm getting rid of it. I'm just saying. It's nothing to do with you. We're traveling at 25,000 feet. Sarah has come in. She's our stewardess for the show.
Welcome. Make sure your seatbelts are fastened as we go in for
a hard landing. We'll be crashing into the Austrian landscape, and at 6,000 elevation, 6,000 dropping.
Between your legs and...
How many people really care about all those people that died unnecessarily? I mean, it's like we're so desensitized to tragedy that we're like, oh, okay, whatever, you know. I can't imagine. We have no evidence to validate the idea that the pilot kicked the co-pilot kicked the pilot out of the cockpit. We still don't have any hard evidence. And I told Sarah about this today. She looked it up and she said, yeah, you're right. I mean, it came from the redacted copy,
yeah,
supposedly.
Supposedly they said it came from the cockpit voice recorder, but I listened to that recording.
I did too.
I couldn't tell that someone was trying to get into the cockpit.
That's right, stewardess Sarah.
It was like hardly anything. It was like... That's all you heard. Basically, there was like nothing, silence.
Yeah, they just see the tragedy. They show the tragedy, then they leave the story for another one. I know. Good point, Charles Foster Kane.
Well, fortunately, this guy's flying, so we should be all good.
Mr. Andersons, you're losing Wi-Fi? Well, maybe you haven't hooked up to the Loon Project, where you can get free Wi-Fi from Google. Problem is, the Loon Project never got off the ground. They were going to put Wi-Fi connections on balloons everywhere, and how come they didn't do that? Because money! Money! It's all about money.
Would you like some champagne with your flight?
I think I don't drink, but that would be really wrong for a pilot to be drinking on board a flight. But recently, a JetBlue pilot did admit to having a 0.11 alcohol level. Yeah, that's an interesting little side trip. The people are suing because they didn't know that he was drunk the whole time. JetBlue, not for the win. We just lost an engine on our left wing. We're going down. Let's implement the blimp plane parachute system, Sarah. Okay, what's this? A tribute to the man who sparked ignited criticism. Oh, this guy does a brilliant Robin Williams. Let's see if we can get him to play.
Being naked is the only way you can...
He's really good. Robin Williams just would have turned 65 a couple days ago.
Enjoy it, Jack. Have you ever heard of the story of the Fisher King?
He could definitely play his impersonator, cool, yeah. Be really good to see him.
And 258, that's a risk that we're willing to take.
Yeah. Yeah, 258, we understand that there's going to be possible dangers for what we're doing, but we believe in what we're doing, and we believe that if you want an honest government, you're going to have to hire honest people to be your president, vice president. Rip Robin Williams.
Thanks.
Good morning, Vietnam.
This guy's really good.
Yeah, he is pretty good.
He is really good. Robin Williams was a total sellout. And this guy seems to be a total sellout too, with 66,000 hits, 4.4 million he's making on his AdSense dollars. I can't give him another moment on our show. What a sellout. Just like Robin Williams. Yeah. Folks, I would not be doing what I'm doing. You got to look at all this COINTELPRO that's coming into our show right now. I would not be doing what I'm doing if I wasn't out to help the American people. That's really what's interesting. And if you think about all the downsides of having corrupt people like Hillary and Donald run for president, it really gives you a bad taste in your mouth about the future for America. And I really think that your vote needs to count. And the only way we're going to make your vote count is obviously to get my name on the ballot when you get your ballot in the mail. A lot of you are going to be using your absentee ballot forms. That's what you're going to have to do. Okay, let's move ahead and get this thing out of the way. We're going to say goodbye to the discussion of airplanes, okay?
No.
Hold on, please. Okay, thank you. We know guest chatters are important. That's why we're letting them chat here, Psycho Behavior. Oh, another link from the Obald. Do you really believe that Robin Williams was suffering from Lewy body dementia? I mean, really? I mean, they say that he was, but... And is it a known fact that he was suffering from Lewy body dementia? I just found out a little bit about Lewy body dementia recently, but I can tell you that there you go. Embrace yourself. This guy was found 15 hours after he and his wife last spoke, and his wife was in the same house.
Like they didn't see each other in the house for 15 hours?
Yeah, 15 hours went by
15 hours?
Yeah. She was in the same house, and they were in the middle of a divorce.
Imagine, like, being in the same house with David and him not, like, talking to me for 15 hours.
Yeah, having a big house is not an excuse in and of itself. I just don't believe the story, and I don't believe he hung himself without any drugs or alcohol in him. But they say this Lewy body disease is coupled with extreme depression and suicidal tendencies. So I don't know. I mean, wow. I'm kind of 50-50 on the Robin Williams thing at this point. It could be he was suffering from this Lewy body disease. All right, June 10th, 1990, miracle of BA Flight 5390 as the captain is sucked out of the cockpit and survives. Let's go back into our flight pattern and analyze this quick-thinking cabin crew saved Captain Tim Lancaster's life when a faulty window blew out at 17,300 feet and hauled him outside the jet for 22 minutes. How the hell did he stay alive? An aviation disaster was narrowly averted. That's right. Its captain be pulled halfway out the aircraft at over 17,000 feet. It was heading for Malaga, Spain. Tim Lancaster and his co-pilot Alastair Atkinson, both experienced flyers, and their takeoff was routine. Less than 15 minutes into the flight, with the plane at 17,300 feet over Oxfordshire, there was a loud bang in the cockpit and the windscreen on the captain's side blew out from its mooring, causing immediate decompression. It's a cockpit sucking sound. You hear that sucking sound? That's your pilot getting sucked out of the cockpit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, isn't that amazing? So what happened? Both pilots had loosened their harnesses and Lancaster was forcefully pulled toward the open window by the rush of air. As the reconstruction from the National Geographic Channel's documentary Air Crash Investigation shows, the whole top half of his body was dragged out of the plane. It's like he's getting a suntan out there. Look at this. With only his legs remaining inside, caught on the flight controls. Now, this is a dramatization, so. Flight attendant Nigel Ogden, on the flight deck at the time, quickly grabbed hold of Lancaster's belt while the stricken captain was flung from side to side by powerful winds and began to lose consciousness in the thin air at the altitude of 17,300 feet. Let's see if I can talk a little faster. There he is, this lovely family of fellow co-pilots. All right. This is better than a Brokeback Mountain flight experience, don't you think? This isn't the Mile High Club. This is like weirdness. Ogden, too, began to suffer from frostbite and exhaustion and was relieved by Chief Steward John Heward and Flight Attendant Simon Rogers, as pictured above, Lancaster standing in Ashton's middle. Lancaster's head was now banging against the side of the cockpit, leading the crew to believe he had died. Fortunately, they held on to him in a fear that his body might get sucked into the plane's engine. Given permission for an emergency landing at Southampton Airport, Atchison brought the plane down safely as the crew hung on grimly to Lancaster. The pilot was discovered to be alive and was rushed to the hospital as frightened passengers disembarked. The whole flight lasted 22 minutes, this ordeal. Wow. Isn't it amazing?
Looks fake because that was based on a reenactment of what happens.
Yeah, that was a reenactment. Isn't that amazing? And you are not allowed to chat here if you continue these really crazy things that you're saying. Just 765, you are hereby on notice as a potential bad person, and you will be given negative karma, which will result in not good things.
Did you need
a break? Yeah.
Okay.
The story was scaring me too. How did that even happen? It's amazing the strength and tenacity of these people as they held on.
British Airlines flight 5390.
You know, I can't believe I've gone through this entire show without mentioning the words chemtrails.
No way.
Yeah. I haven't mentioned the words chemtrails once.
Until now.
Okay, I'm going to give you some time with Sarah, and we must immediately remove that from the chat show because I can't really.
Okay, you don't mind if I close out of some things?
Please do. It's becoming almost unbearable. Well, you can hope that God can save you. I believe that we can save ourselves if we just put our minds together here.
I don't know if they would if the Democrats would arrest Hillary. The Republicans might if they had a chance. I would say. Yay! For the next few minutes, do I want this about everywhere news? Maybe. About Michelle Obama listing daughters as senior staff on her $424,000 trip to Africa. Whoa. All right. Yes. What? Oh, I don't know if that'll happen. 429, maybe. But then he'll try to put many people in there. That wouldn't be fun. All right. Yes. Too many things open. Try to close it out. Don't know what's happening over there. All right, good. No. No pixie sticks. Whatever that means. No, we want Sponheim. I find that hard to believe in 9/9. Interesting conversation you had off of cam a while ago. I don't know if you actually heard me. No, you didn't. Alright, I'm not going to save this. Yes, there's more shootings at nightclubs in Florida. I don't think I'm ever going to go to a nightclub in Florida. I'll go to a nightclub in Las Vegas, but that's about it. Yes, you can go ahead and make fun of Fox News. That's fine. So much open. I'll just start here. Hello, Canadian. Which shocking? With electricity? You don't want me to do the lethal electric fence. Ooh, does a leaked spreadsheet show Donald Trump and his family receiving payments from the Democratic National Convention. New Hampshire State Director. In-kind delivery service. NH State Director. On a DNC spreadsheet. Event staging, mobile phone expense, office supplies, printing and design, delivery services, and office supplies. Paid to Donald Trump for president. That's so bizarre. From the DNC. Wow. Oh. You know WikiLeaks got the emails from Russia because they posted them on their forum 3 months ago in Russian. Nice. All right. You're going to turn Sponheim's emails over to WikiLeaks? Okay. Don't really know what you'll see there. Nothing really debilitating or anything. Mostly people emailing to us. All right. Yes. Yeah, that's true, Dr. Meow. Does Bruce Jenner have a daughter? What? Alright, I don't care if I do either. No, there is no Robbie. That doesn't exist. I think that's something else. Oh, they banned e-cigarettes? Is that what you're saying? At the Democratic Convention? You say vapes are banned at the Democratic Convention? No, I didn't take a bath 751, so no. Alright. That was pretty interesting. I guess I'll leave that. That's pretty good. Yes, actually, Dr. Meow, that is not bad information. Cyberspace, I don't know who coined the word cyberspace. Who did coin that term? Are you going to do the research and get back to me, Nightcloud? Oh, goodness. I'm not going to have this. William Gibson, according to Nightcloud, coined the word cyberspace. Sponheim can go to the White House. Oh. Well, I'm glad they're thinking about it. Yes, voters want to fix our system, bring back our jobs. They can vote for Sponheim. That would be very good. All right. All right, very good. Yes, he does leave the house sometimes. DefenseSystems.com. Cyber defense. The Vermont Guard gears up for major cyber exercise in response. So they're going to do that's what Vermont's doing, and they want to I guess they're seeking crisis actors or something like that. Well, that would make sense, Dr. Meow. That makes sense. Will I vacuum the Oval Office? Maybe. Common sense is becoming a lost art. Abnormal, it's true. Do I want this? No, I kind of don't. David probably does, though. Yes, slavery has continued. Has been allowed to continue as a punishment for crimes in the prison industry. Yes, that's in the Constitution. Okay. Do you know that the Secret Service of the White House actually have a section of trained agents to vacuum the Oval Office? That would make sense to me. While they're checking for bugs. Heard there was another scandal. Yeah, I know. They always want to... It's always... Assange and WikiLeaks are going to release more information. Rick says she probably won't be arrested. She's too connected. And I don't know who he's talking about. Probably Hillary? Oh, William Colby. This is the guy that you said... No. Is this the guy you were saying did that? The director of Central Intelligence? WhatReallyHappened.com? Politics and bodies and something like that? I'll leave that open for David. I don't know what that is. Are you getting all your information from, what is that, the Clinton death calendar or something like that? We support everyone, but we do want to ease racial tensions and make sure that our officers get sensitivity training across the country. Not really 820. Yeah, you're probably right about Hillary not getting arrested because she's too connected. Oh. Which general's father led the investigation of the Lindenberg baby kidnapping? Norman Schwarzkopf's father led that investigation? I did not know that. Thank you. I don't think I need to do this. I don't like them either. 374. Like I said, I support all people, and I think that I especially support our officers, but I do think officers need sensitivity training. That would be pretty funny, Dr. Meow. Well, I know that adult diapers are often used in the White House. David has some picture of, what was it, the Dalai Lama leaving by the back door of the White House, and it was all full of garbage. It's like, wow. Oh, this is the Democratic Convention live. Do I want to watch this? Not really right now. You like Schwarzkopf even though we shouldn't have been in Iraq in the first place? Yeah, it does seem like we were always there we went in to support Kuwait and Saudi Arabia originally. It was totally not a pile of leaves with a rain preventing tent on it. A pile of leaves? Really? Just let the rain on the leaves. It's okay. I mean, that will just help them to decompose quicker. An old car sitting on cinder blocks in the back? Does it belong to I don't know. David always said the vice president went and waxed his car or something like that. Oh, I'm just gonna close out of this one too. Do I want that? I don't know. Alright. Oh, the Dalai Lama told you that? It was a pile of leaves with a rain preventing tent on it? He has a nice way of looking at everything. Why are you giving information about the fire department 373? Oh. He's talking about a Firehouse 711. That's pretty funny. My dogs don't cry. Pretty funny. No worries, Rick. All right. Yeah, I'm just not... I don't know if he was talking about a firehouse, but... Oh well, maybe he was. So according to regulatorwatch.com, a cancer research representative says vaping helps reduce cancer. Wow. Oh yes, no worries. Yeah, I know your car comments, but I forgot what the vice president always, I guess, waxed his car in the White House or something like that. You can ask David about that. Faulty test kits, fear THC in the water. Alright, I'll leave that about niece rejecting the police request. Alright.
Thank you for filling in for me tonight.
You are welcome. You take care of everything else?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I guess I'll go take care of everything else.
Good. Enjoy your evening. Everything's put away in the other room.
Okay, thank you.
So enjoy your private time. All right. Sarah's gonna enjoy a movie of her own on Netflix later, Sarah. Okay, we're encountering some turbulence in the White House. Getting back to flight control. So as you can see, there have been a lot of lies about the airline industry, about the flights above us with chemicals spraying in the skies. Many of us are led to believe these are contrails. You must have by now realized that with the director of the CIA, John O'Brennan, saying to the Council on Foreign Relations last week that they're going to use aerosols in the skies above us to control global warming, which is absurd. He's confirmed that these things really are being sprayed on you. So please, you guys who still stand there and say these are contrails, when you see them in the skies, these are the most hideous forms of chemicals being dumped on you. They're spraying you like an insect. I'm going to show you a very unusual one right here.
Conspirator says the truth.
Thank you.
Strangest chemtrail in the world.
What you're experiencing is the strangest chemtrail in the world.
All right, let's just take a look here. This is weird stuff. I mean, we don't really know what they're doing, but we do know that they're using every means possible to spray the air. I have a good idea what they think they're doing, and I've got ample evidence to convince you that what they're doing is insane. They expect to be globally engineering the skies above us. This is a pretty interesting chemtrail activity, as you can see. Time-lapse photography of things that are being done right now. John Kerry says the AC units are the problem. He wants everybody to sweat it out. John Kerry is turning out to be a joke. Now, WikiLeaks' Julian Assange is saying that my next leak will ensure Hillary's arrest. This should be interesting. Now, I don't completely trust anything Julian Assange does, but hey, you know, it's all information processing at this point. Good, thank you, Forblowns. Yeah, good show tonight, Haim. Thanks, Operation. Yeah, we got about 10 more minutes left in the traditional show. But I'm going to let this open up and I'll take a look at that. I can't get the YouTube link, Chat Room Celebrity. My system's bogged down pretty deep. For some reason, we're... Yeah, Mike Willis says hello. How are you? Hi, Mike. For some reason, we've got a lot of problems running 4 different shows on the same computer. I'm going to have to parse this off to the other computer, I'm pretty sure. Should Hillary go to jail? Okay, let's find out. If Julian Assange is correct and WikiLeaks has something good, we'll see. I seriously don't think the FBI is going to be doing anything to prevent Hillary from getting away with the crimes of obstruction of justice, non-disclosure of public documents. The list goes on and on, actually. We could even claim that Hillary was complicit in the death of Chris Stevens. That would be a really heavy charge if we could just prove it. I know people say there's smarter guys than you out there, buddy, that can do this in government, but there really isn't. The people we have working for us, like Jim Comey, the director of the FBI, he's a sad excuse for a director. He hasn't done enough. So thanks for that input, Mike. I'm going to drop off of our YouTube site in just a little bit. So I'm going to say goodbye to that. And I'm going to add the link to Robin Williams, the impersonator. He looks really good. Jamie Costa is his name. I'm going to add that to my list of new links so you guys can see them later tonight. So what I do in the evening, in order to save space on the computer, is to add links that I add to the playlist, and I play those in the evening. Yeah. So Canada's checking out the idea of giving out a salary of $2,500 a month. Wow, that's ridiculous. Switzerland's going to do that. Canada was toying with the idea of $700 a month, I heard, per family, which would equal the $400 a month plan for us. Yeah, we're bogged down here. It's bad. All right. Our day was good today, Operation. Yeah. Thanks for asking. Invention of golf, really. Okay. And guess 2-4, yeah. Whatever. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, I'm at 99%. I'll pop out of that too. All right. Yeah, I just don't want you to use these words, 848, that you're using. It's inflammatory racism, and I don't think we need to use that here. I'm looking very GQ, thank you. Yeah, I'd appreciate it if you just kind of clean your mouth out with a bar of all-natural soap. Something that wouldn't cause gagging reactions. And then go back and realize what you just did, son. Now we got an image from Scissor Fight. You saw The Matrix for the first time? You got to be kidding me. Okay, let's see what this is. Mad Dog, that's amazing. What did you think? My favorite movie of all times. Mr. Anderson. So you see now. Whoa. Okay, that was the video that you showed of the splinter. Yeah. Yeah, I've been through rainstorms like that where a lightning was cracking 5 feet. Thank you. 5 feet from the actual car we were driving. I was driving up to Albuquerque, and I saw this casino on the side. I said, Sarah, we got to get off the highway. The water was like 7 inches deep. It was unbelievable. And it was just flooding, just sheets of water and lightning everywhere. And we found this wonderful casino on the way to Albuquerque. Pulled off, had dinner, and it may have been a kind of a lackluster dinner, but I'll tell you, I can't even remember what it was. It was a buffet. And I didn't care what it was. I didn't care what they charged. I was going in there. I was going to sit down, and I was going to relax because I almost got hit by lightning in that little inside of ours. Mine, the one I have. It was phenomenal. It was the most bizarre lightning storm I've ever seen. And I know with the weather patterns getting the way they are now, you get to see that a lot now, crossing the country in summertime, especially Albuquerque. Mr. Anderson. Jackson 69, thanks. I'm doing well. We're on. Yeah, we're taking in the discussion. Sanders is finished. We wrapped up the Bernie Sanders disaster. I told the Bernie supporters they're wasting their time on the socialist, and they should have gone in my direction. I've been a centrist all along. And I support certain ideas that some socialists actually like getting rid of big Wall Street executive companies and the incredible payroll they've been getting. You know, American executives, CEOs, make 100 times more than the average lowest paid worker. In England, it's nothing like that. It's like 7 to 10 times. So our country's done absolutely nothing, so I will carry the ball for all of the Bernie Sanders supporters here, but I don't want to tax you guys to pay for it. We have a brand new different approach that we think is far more novel than socialism. And we call it a hybrid capitalism. Speaking of lightning, yeah. So we support green, clean technologies. We want the government to get a return on investment. We believe that we can actually make a profit for the government that would no longer rely on taxes. Yet we don't want to see bureaucracies form like they have under previous administrations. This is as close to progressive libertarianism as you'll ever get. That used to be a joke, 512, but it's not funny. So we don't think it's appropriate that you make statements like that about my car. All right? Thanks. Well, James, we can agree that we're screwed either way. But if we do get a third party to win this election in any one state even, we'll get national attention. Even if we crack one state like Delaware and win the popular vote, it'll be national attention. It'll be enough for us to go on to 2020. I'm doing everything I can, 948. But the censorship against us has been nonstop across the board. In a country that claims to be free and democratic, this is the least free and democratic nation of all. It's an elaborate lie that we've been fed. MSM Rag Inquisitor admits complicity in the Pulse shooting fraud terrorist event. No kidding. Wow. And Putin's warning from 2-Eye Cyclops. Okay, I'm hoping I can take in a little bit of links here toward the end. But my problem is I got to get rid of links faster than I'm keeping them. So we'll start with Keisha's incredible version of the Beatles. It's a mashup that Keisha did called TikTok Together. We're going to do Keisha in just a bit. Alright? Okay, we got a couple links I'd like to give you before we go on to the evening video show. This is now 153 reasons not to vote for Trump. Really good article talking about all the things that make Trump unfit for the presidency of the United States of America. For the POTUS. Yes, indeed. So you can check that link out anytime you want. Very informative stuff. Did it click? Oh, it didn't work. Huh. Well, we may have a problem. Try this one. Wow, you'll have to cut and copy that sucker. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe it's the fact that these at HTTP. Hang on. The man has no penis. Okay, and that's my problem. Why? We're getting the top lists about Hillary in just a few days, man. I'm going to try to pull it together tonight. I'm running in arrears. I got to process a lot of things tonight. Winston Churchill, we shall never surrender. June 4th, 1940. I would never lose to Hillary. If I was given 1 second of media time, I would win. Drop a bang.
I just made this video that I'm attempting to make right now.
All right.
And I got it on YouTube, and I realized I made a goof. I made a mistake.
Okay. Well, don't do it on my time. Y'all my dime, man. You don't mess with my dime. Pope Francis eats his own booger. How can I miss a link like that, Zoni? Thank you so much. Not only is he the leader of the Jesuit order, the military arm of the Vatican, but he eats his own booger. Wow. Impressive stuff. Thanks so much. I've never been given any media time. How can you even compare me to somebody in the media? You know, I don't know why my website pop-ups as a Trojan. I have no idea. Which one are you referring to?
In America on American.
Which one are you referring to?
It is a criminal act.
Okay.
And punishable by law.
It is. Thanks. I don't think.
Of course, they get away with
no
it
way.
Because they are.
There's nothing good about the Rolling Stone libel case. Yeah, I considered libel what they did. That's not favorable at all, nor is it valuable. I'm already very well known around the world, so you could just ignore the mainstream media's assessment of me at this point. Thank you. The world is looking in and watching intelligence try to seep its way back into government and politics in America, and every show we do is another chink in the breakdown of the wall of voodoo, media voodoo that's been put up against us. So we're going to make our way into the media eventually, so you guys are going to have to just eat your words. Thank you. 989, I don't know why, but I'm going to purge you anyway. Yeah, you keep pushing, and 386, I'm going to ask you to not use the N-word here. I've asked you earlier, and I'm going to ban you now. Okay? The ban is a serious offense. You may have a real problem getting in here.
You know what? I'm a human.
You're a human being? Really?
Being, and I make mistakes.
You do?
And there was an article in the video that I was reading.
I don't know if I want to listen to him all night long. I'm very popular in the Marshall Islands. Excellent. Thanks for coming in, guys. Bob is not a topic of discussion in the show. I thought I explained that, 216. Yeah. Unless you're referring to my dad. And he's dead. His name was Bob. Bob is an important word to me. I don't consider the name Bob important, though. Words filling, I don't know. You were in Gibraltar watching a documentary about me? Fascinating. I'm so glad people are finally waking up to the political censorship that's happening in America. Many people around the world are beginning to realize what's happening. It's sad. Our country has allowed its people to be censored. We've had no real chance of getting out the true point of view that many of us possess, which is we don't want war. We want to make our country more solvent economically. We don't want to keep borrowing, and wars have always been a reason for people to borrow. And they've always been used to expand credit. So we want a real accountable government in the future. And anytime somebody does the unthinkable and create a false flag, I'm going to put together a media verification alliance comprised of the American people who are in the blogosphere, who do want to travel by plane to their destination, and they can be witnesses to real crimes and real terrorism. And we need corroboration at the ground level. Because if we rely on the mainstream media for all of our filtered news, we will never get a straight story ever, and it'll be like crying wolf continuously. We will never be able to see the real event because we've been desensitized to the unreal events. And this could lead to almost a vacuous political process, as it is right now. With a lack of free press, our country can't correct its ways, and we're left with a terrible, terrible situation where we've got a choice between Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And never the twain shall meet. They're always divided except on key issues like taxing you, universal health care, both Donald and Hillary support, starting a ground war in Syria or Iran. Trump talks about sending troops into Iran. What an idiot. Who would want to do that? And then you look at the policies of apologist policies of Hillary as she goes around the world selling our country off to other countries like China, and then Donald Trump betraying our trust with China. The opposite. They're playing the whole thing. Pro-China, anti-China. And I'm right in the middle on China. I really believe that we can work with China and continue to trade very, very effectively, but other modifications I've suggested have been bastardized by Trump. I put together a 15% ecological tariff idea. He comes up with a 30% tariff right after I do this. He took the idea that we had on our website in 2008, and in 2014 he bastardized the idea. Anyway, great talking to all of you. As usual, we have a great show continued into the evening till 2 in the morning. We're going to play some videos. I'm going to be playing Pacific Redwood a little later because it tends to bore people. Unless you're a real a late nighter. Thank you, 937. I'm trying to nail it tonight because we really have to bring people together in the middle of the political spectrum. I'm inviting Bernie Sanders supporters in here and the Tea Party people at the same time. We can have a good communication because we are not as divided as we may think.
Today is July the 25th.
We actually can see eye to eye on a lot of issues. Yeah. As long as we don't tax to pay for funded programs, socially liberal programs, I think we can get on the same page because the fiscal conservatives are primarily concerned about overly taxing and wasting government money. We've got to find up new solutions to generate capital for the country that will trigger a long-term solution for our nation that will kick into gear and be good for 50 years. All right, tomorrow will be our Truth Tuesday, which we will talk about false flags and 9/11 being an inside job. Tonight we'll be entertaining conspiracy theories, even the moon hoax we'll talk about in our late night show. Got a lot of good videos about that really, make you kind of wonder what the heck's going on with the moon landing. Let's see if I have that picture right here. No, this is not the one. We did show the one about Prince Charles claiming he was Dracula's relative.
The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler. The genealogy shows...
Anyway, he descended from Vlad the Impaler, you see. I thought that was pretty funny. We started our pre-show talking about 9/11, the Order of the Garter. which is an actual society in which Prince William and the Queen of England are part of that plan. Interesting coincidence they have 9/11 in their title, isn't it? We trust but verify with every single relationship we have around the world. And you've got a JPEG, deep down. And 216, I thought I banned you, man. You've been very mean tonight to various people. We can't see links here, 937. You've got to become a username in order to get a link posted on Vaughn Network. Our problems began when we attempted to publish our findings. Okay, that's an extreme zoom picture. Afraid I can't even see it. Another one bites the dust. Oh, can't stop song today? Oh, well, we can do that, yeah. Okay, I mean, you're kind of getting me past this hump in the show. Sarah did put a lot of extra time into the show, I must say. NASA's codename for ET UFOs accidentally revealed. Wow, I'm missing a lot of good links tonight. That kind of sucks. Yeah, I'm going to have to do something about the bog down on our computer. We're going to have to open up our YouTube chat on the other computer. I've decided. People who would really help me, yeah. Well, we have partners. People are mentioning us all over the internet, 999. Yeah. We're still working on a completely different advertising plateau than you are. The elitists are. Very weird stuff. All right, we'll play a little music for you. Thanks for asking. We do this just to make sure that the YouTube monetization doesn't go forward. We have to contest every one of these attacks on our show every time we do it.
We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop.
So let's be clear.
In this coming election year, please vote for David Sponheim, America's Third Party.
Sponheim for president.
We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop.
First we hit them low, then we hit them high. Underrated, but we made it to the finish line. Rhymes designed to combine and intertwine. Spring to the summer, fall, even winter time. Beats banging harder, then head on collisions. We make incisions with precision and quick decisions. Causing double visions if you ain't up to speed. You need to speed it up, partner. Keanu Reeves.
We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. We can't stop, can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. We can't stop, can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop.
In this coming election year, please vote for David Sponheim, America's Third Party.
Can't stop, can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. Can't stop, can't stop.
The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler, see.
Good night, everyone. Take care. Hasta mañana.